Happy Thursday, everybody. Oh my gosh. The internet exploded yesterday. Holy crap. With an insane allegation and indictment just dropped from the DOJ accusing Lauren Chen, roaming millennial, and her husband of taking money from people that work for Russia, specifically RT.
Yeah, close
And
to
you
$10 million, $9.7
$9.7
million.
million dollars.
Yeah.
Yes. And then using that money to essentially pay people like Tim Pool, allegedly, pay people like Tim Pool, Dave Rubin, Benny Johnson, and other people to produce content for Tenet Media.
Which is her company. I didn't even know that. So
Yeah, it's weird. For some reason, I always thought that Tenet Media was Tim's company,
I thought
but
the same. Yeah.
I don't know why I thought that, but it's Lauren's
Because he
company, Lauren
promoted
Chen's
it.
company.
Yeah,
He
he
did.
promoted it.
He did. It, there
And he's always
was.
starting new companies. So it just had the appearance of like, this is Tim's new venture.
Right. And also I guess because he really likes the Batman movies.
Oh, okay.
The what's the guy's
He's
name?
a fan of Tenet, the movie?
Well, I don't know.
No,
I assumed
it's
because he really
horrible
likes
now.
Nolan movies. So I thought maybe that's where he came from. I don't know. But anyway, so it was Lauren Chen, this company. So uh so I guess we're gonna dig into this because it is very fascinating what everyone knew, who exactly was culpable for what. Is there anything you want to say, like just on the offset?
No, Sitch and I were talking like, I don't know, weeks ago, months ago about how Lauren Chen has kind of had this. I mean, I always saw her as someone reasonable when she first started YouTube, but now I'm
Mm-hmm.
seeing her publish videos that are like, women shouldn't be allowed to vote. It's like, I'm like, wow, when did this lady turn completely crazy? Yeah. So,
Well, mm-hmm.
obviously that's something that bugs the shit out of me when someone is saying, they're trying to restrict voting rights for Americans and they're Canadian. So,
Right. Yeah, yeah. It's like, double screw you. Like,
yeah,
why even
exactly.
talk about this? Yeah.
Yeah. So, whatever.
So, going through the indictment, there are some interesting things. And I think, and I'm going to leave this for, I guess, more towards the end when we talk about this. I have a theory about this that I haven't heard anyone else say about what I think was actually going on here and what Russia's plan was with all this.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
before that, let's talk about like what was actually going on. So, and this is kind of interesting. So, Lauren Chen and her husband apparently worked for RT since 2021. Okay, so they've been doing kind of like RT work for that time. And apparently, according to this indictment, it seems like the indictment is claiming that the entire reason they created Tenet Media was to just do this, to have like to get money from RT to, basically create a channel that they could have American commentators to. Because essentially what happened was, obviously once the war in Ukraine started, RT was essentially banned from America, or just they kind of disbanded in America. And according to the indictment, it says that the chief editor of RT said that their strategy going forward was going to be, since they couldn't just like openly be RT in America, was to create like a bunch of shadow media companies that would push Russian talking points. And supposedly Tenet Media was supposed to be one of these companies, one of these
Right.
media companies.
Makes perfect sense. RT Russia Today gets kicked out of America, and they're like, "Hey, we don't like to be kicked out of America. We want to be able to push our propaganda over there. So we need
Right.
a solution."
Right. Now, it is interesting because Lauren Chen and her husband are not being charged whatsoever, at least as of yet, which is kind of fascinating. And I
Well,
don't
yeah, in
believe,
this indictment,
right, not in this indictment. And I don't believe either of them have made a statement, at least not that I've seen publicly since this dropped last night. Um, while other people have made statements, the
but
two people that are being charged are two Russian citizens that were involved with this. So the fact that the Russian people are charged, Lauren Chen and her husband are not being charged, either implies to me that either A, there's another indictment coming down the road that will slam Lauren Chen and her husband, or maybe they rolled over on these people and are working with the US government essentially to save their own skins.
the problem with the cooperation narrative is that she was tweeting the kinds of things that you wouldn't be tweeting if you were cooperating with the investigation,
Mm,
pretty close to right up when the news
really?
dropped. Yeah. So like if you're cooperating, you know what's going on, right? You would kind
Yeah.
of like curb your behavior, you would think.
Well, would you? Maybe they say like don't curb your behavior. Like don't let
Well,
anyone,
that's a possibility. That's a possibility. Keep tweeting the crazy stuff. Don't let anyone get wise to what you're doing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll find out. I don't know. That could go either way, obviously.
So the charges are violating the Foreign Agents Registration Act, so being a foreign agent without telling anyone, and money laundering because they were kind of hiding where the money was coming from. So, as of the indictment itself claims that Lauren Chen and her husband knew. It seems pretty clear the indictment is saying that the that Lauren Chen and her husband knew that they were getting paid by Russia and the Russians. I don't know if they knew that that guy that they were claiming was really funding them, the Eduardo guy, was fake or not. That's a little less vague, or that's a little less clear.
Well,
But it seemed,
they pinned
yeah,
him on some Google searches that they did where they were basically invoicing the company and saying, "Where's our money?" and Googling the Moscow time, which is like super sus, right?
right. Yeah. So basically, what happened was they were communicating with their handlers. Lauren Chen was communicating with their handlers through a Discord channel, and there had been a period of time of 2 weeks where they didn't receive the money they were supposed to receive, and they were like, "Oh, give us the money," or "What's going on?" I mean, they're a little nicer. They're like, "Oh, what's going on with the funding?" And then when they didn't get a response, they Googled, yeah, what time it was in Moscow, and saw that it was like 4 or 5 in the morning or something. So they wouldn't expect a response. They also had other Discord messages where supposedly they would refer to them as the Russians. So they obviously
Oh,
knew that they're Russian. But the reason I say is it's unclear whether that Lawrence and her husband knew this Eduardo Gregorian is this name that the Russians came up with, is supposed to be like this fake, millionaire who's paying for everything here. And we'll talk about that in a second. Is that they also caught them Googling Lauren Chen or her husband. I don't know, because they say like founder one and two. So I don't know which one's which. Um, they found in the indictment that they were Googling this guy to try to look up information about him.
well, that's
And
not
they
good because they probably found absolutely nothing.
right. So that is kind of sus, right? They Google this guy, they find nothing about it. So according to the indictment, the indictment says that it seems like none of the other people had knowledge that they were being paid for by Russia. So the indictment seems to say that Tim Pool, Benny Johnson, Dave Rubin, and Lawrence Southern, and these other people that were involved with Tenet Media were not aware that Russia was funding this, at least directly. But that Lauren Chen and her husband were.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
So, yeah, I mean, obviously this blew up in their faces spectacularly, right?
right.
Because all the people who have been sympathetic to the Russian perspective are going to get immediately discredited
Yes.
like instantly. So
Oh, well, I mean,
if you're
yeah.
Moscow, that's what you're trying to avoid.
Well, obviously, and this is like really bad timing for Tim because this is like on the heels of that clip he had where he was screaming like an unhinged lunatic about Ukraine being evil. And
Right.
it's like, okay, Tim is screaming that Ukraine is evil. And then it turns out that he was getting paid by Russia, even though supposedly he wasn't aware of it, which I would believe he wasn't
How
aware of
ironic.
it.
I don't know if I
So,
believe that. Am I in?
oh, hey,
Yeah,
what's
you
up,
are.
Sean?
What's up?
Yeah, yeah.
So
So you, wait, so,
Sean,
okay, so,
Think Before You Sleep has joined us.
I
So
mean, this is like standard procedure and protocol. Like before you work with somebody, like an agency or something like that, you
mhm.
Google who those people are. Seems like really
so,
stupid to not do that.
so there's
Especially someone
interesting
like Tim
about
Pool would
that.
know that.
Have you read the indictment?
No, I have not. I just
Okay.
found out about this this morning. So
Nice. Nice.
I've heard
So, mhm.
so yeah, I've heard like that there was some like guy who was like a fake like AI bot or something like that, like an American, but it was actually like a Russian behind it or some shit like that, and everybody thought it was the American guy that was fake. Like, but there's no
So
information on him on Google.
it's funny. So according to the indictment, the first people that Lauren Chen approached to work for Tenet were, or to use their content for Tenet, was Dave Rubin and Tim Pool. At least we think, because it's like commentator 1 and commentator 2, right? It seems like it's describing Tim Pool and Dave Rubin. And it seems like, according to the indictment, that Tim Pool, at least according to the indictment, Tim Pool didn't really do any due diligence about who the fuck was paying for all this stuff, which is very strange, at least according to the indictment.
Either you don't trust him because he's a paid Russian shill, or you don't trust him because he doesn't do research.
Yeah, there you go.
He loses
And
both
then,
ways.
but Dave Rubin, according to the indictment, was like, who is this guy? Who's paying me? And he actually kept asking them for information about this Edward Gregorian. And that's why they created, I don't know if you have it, the picture of it, Adam. That's why they created this like fake resume picture for profile picture for this Eduardo guy is because, or Edward guy is because Dave Rubin was supposedly asking for this information.
But he accepted $100,000 for a video without knowing who was paying him.
Well, yeah, see, that's what's even stranger. So it turns out that the deal was that I believe Dave Rubin ended up getting paid $400,000 a month with a $100,000 sign-in fee bonus, and Tim got $100,000, I believe, for per video. And you would think that there'd be a massive like, okay, who is this guy that's paying us all this money? Number one, just on top of it, but then number two, when Tenet Media like exists as a YouTube channel and it's getting like really shitty views for having these massive names to it, you would be like, why is this guy still paying us this insane amount of money for this channel that's like dying?
Just hit yes on a scam call. That's going to be great. And I'm going to get called forever.
There you go.
Now they know it's a real number.
They do.
Yeah, sorry about that. I should have turned my phone off.
It's okay. I still appreciate
it. Anyway, so yeah, this is
there's no way, like, so like he's getting paid all this money and just nobody notices, or nobody's like, hey, is this like money laundering, or am I working for the mob, or like is somebody gonna kill me if I do something wrong, or like that's a lot of money.
Yeah, you would think.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would want to know exactly where that's coming from.
Do you have the picture, Adam, of the guy?
The Gregorian guy?
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, send it to me if you have it. I was Googling for it, but it didn't come up readily, so.
It's in the indictment if you have the indictment pulled up.
I don't. Send me a link to the indictment.
I will send you a link.
I have a tweet.
It makes me
so
this is allegedly Tim, right? Like we don't like somebody was saying like, oh, based on their subscriber count number, like this would be Tim Pool, or so.
Yeah. So the way that people have been identified is that it said commentator 1 who has 2.4 million subscribers and commentator 2 has 1.3 million subscribers or over. And so the people did the numbers. They think commentator 1 was either Dave Rubin or Benny Johnson. I believe now it seems more inclined that it's Dave Rubin. And then the 1.3 would be Tim. So
Tim has like 4 different channels though, doesn't he? So which
he does.
channel? I guess it's like Tim Pool channel would be 1.37 million right now.
Yeah.
Isn't like Timcast his main thing now?
I don't know. Who knows what the Justice Department was using? But it's funny. So when they sent Dave Rubin this like fake resume, it's on page 13 of this guy. The thing that he's like, they didn't. And I don't know, listen, maybe you just take the paycheck, you don't think about it, but you think you'd be like, okay, this guy is supposedly this millionaire or billionaire who worked for all these banks. He's going to pay me millions of dollars. Maybe you call the banks, you try to contact them to see if any of this stuff is like,
yeah, to make sure the money is actually real and it's not being stolen. You're not being given like drug money or something like that.
Yeah, which no one apparently did. The thing that kind of caught Dave Rubin's eye, so much so that he wanted to have a Zoom call with this fake person, which he ended up doing, supposedly. I don't know who was playing this guy. The indictment doesn't say. Was that in the guy's bio, it says that he's deeply engaged in business and philanthropy. And at the end, it says he focuses on poverty alleviation, championing free speech, and advocating for social justice causes. And Dave Rubin was like, whoa, social justice causes.
Sounds like a computer wrote that.
Well, the whole thing, if you read it, it sounds like a computer wrote it. But you're like, he's like, social justice, what's going on here? This is like, what is this, some woke guy?
Why is his face blurred?
To protect his identity, obviously, from Dave Rubin.
Was it blurred in the original thing, or did people blur it?
I'm sure it was.
No, it wasn't. No, they blurred it for the indictment.
I was like, there's no way I would have accepted this with the guy's face blurred or without talking to him about seeing him. Like,
of course not.
They didn't want the actor to get lambasted online when they published this in the
Like,
in
I don't know,
by the
I don't know if you
DOJ.
guys get these, but like I get constant like scam of like we work for Pepsi. We want you to advertise
Oh
with Mountain
yes,
Dew. Like I
yes.
get like a million of those. Like,
Hmm.
and it's like some from random email. I was like, yeah, I don't believe it'd be like if it was for Pepsi, it'd be like at Pepsi.com for the email. And it'd be like something that looks more professional. I was like, hey, you want to do an ad for Pepsi?
Right. Right.
Yeah, as soon as you get the $400,000 check, you're like, what?
First of all, why are any of these people still working if they were making that much money per year? I'd be gone. If $400,000, that's like a couple $1 million a year. I'd be
What I
done.
mean, listen, why you keep working till it runs out? What are you talking about? Just
One year is like what's that? That's almost $5 million minus taxes.
yeah, but so 2 years, 10.
Yeah, I
Would
don't
be
know why.
minus. It'd be like more like five, but
Well,
close enough.
you keep stacking the mountains. Listen, that's the rule number one is when you're pulling in the cheddar, you just keep pulling it in until it dries up, and then's when you retire. All right. None of this retire after a year shit. Come on. What are you doing?
That's
So
true.
Maybe I have lower standards.
you must. So
I don't need like a $400,000 car, so I'm good.
it said that says that Lauren Chen and her husband beforehand, before this channel existed, when she was just scouting talent, they were making $8,000 a month just to find the talent. And then once they found supposedly Tim Pool and Dave Rubin, they got $25,000 a month and some kind of bonus, respectively, based on whatever salary negotiate or whatever payment Tim and Rubin got. And I believe it said that they eventually charged about $760,000 from the Russians total.
So
So they
that's how
took
much Lauren Chen got, seven hundred and
and her
sixty
husband,
thousand
yeah,
dollars. Yeah.
I'd
right.
still be
Okay.
working at that money though. I can see it. So not everybody got paid the $400,000 a month. Just like
No.
whoever we think Dave Rubin and Tim Pool are on these things.
Well, it said that, besides, the amount that I said, there was it says that Dave Rubin, Tim Pool, and whoever this commentator three is, people speculate that it's Benny Johnson, but I don't know if anyone knows for sure. They got a total between the three of them of $8.7 million. So they got the massive bulk of the money.
Okay, so they got a lot.
Right. The other
Again,
commentators probably didn't get that
I'd still be
much.
questioning the fuck out of that.
Right.
Like
Though,
there's personal safety involved with that kind of money.
what do you
But I
mean?
also think, well, if someone has that kind of money, like what other connections do they have? When certain people get like lots and lots of money to the extent where they can just throw money at people, like
Hmm.
they, a lot of other people who would enforce the law around those people look the other way. So I'd be very, very investigative about that.
Mm.
Also, I kind of believe like people would throw that kind of money because rich people get really, really stupid with money. Because like you can only like conceptualize a certain amount of cash and the rest of it just kind of goes out the window.
Right.
So like there's an incredible amount of waste in rich communities. Luxury bags is probably a big example of that. Like Louis Vuitton makes the ugliest looking bags on the planet, and they use, as far as I'm aware, cheaper materials than they used to, and they're not actually worth $4,000 a bag, but they'll still charge that, and people will
Well,
pay
they were
it.
never worth that much. It was just always for the brand.
Yeah,
It's a
so
status symbol.
Yeah,
I
the
guess.
real story here though is that Lauren Chen is basically lying to these creators. She's acting as a go-between to round up a bunch of people that she has contacts with through YouTube to do this kind of content. That's the story.
Yes. Yeah.
I
Well,
mean,
there's another angle
I've
too.
heard the term Russian thrown a lot around some of the political spaces, so I don't know if she was necessarily being dishonest with them. If
Well,
this whole
according
thing
the
is not
indictment,
alleged.
the
The
indictment
indictment
alleges
says
that
she was.
she
Yeah.
knew where the funding was coming from and was intentionally obfuscating the uh the source of funding from the
Right.
the creators. So, and from even the producers that worked on it. So, actually, I sent you a picture, Adam, but it's kind of funny because people were trying to figure out who commentator 3 was because there was in the indictment they talk about how after the terror attack on the Moscow, concert hall, the terrorist attack, that the Russian operative wanted someone involved at Tenet Media to do a video blaming Ukraine or US instead of ISIS, essentially. And so I was looking at Tenet Media to see who was on a video they released on that day, and I found the culprit, Adam. I found the
It's
culprit.
Sean, of course.
Look at that.
Actual justice warrior.
Actual justice warrior, just coincidentally
God, when
was
you
on
said Sean,
Tenet
I was like,
Media the day of the terrorist attack. So we all know he's really the secret plant that the Russians put out.
Sean
There you
has
go.
had nothing but good things to say about Lauren Chen, though.
Uh-oh,
Obviously,
that's
so
true.
yeah,
That's true.
he is
Sean,
a big Lauren Chen
Sean,
simp.
where are
So
you getting them? We're just kidding, obviously. I just thought it was funny. The video was not at all about it was about the corrupt super mayor. It had nothing to do with the terrorist attack,
we
but
have to fight to the death or something like that, so you don't have friends with the same name, so it'd be
it's
less
true.
confusing.
It's a big problem.
There can only be
Yeah.
one.
Okay, so let's see what else was kind of interesting about this. Oh, so they also, besides the video on the Russian terrorist, so regarding the Russian terrorist attack thing, the only people that I found, well, first of all, Tenet Media's YouTube channel didn't have a video about this terrorist attack at all, which is kind of interesting. And then the only people I found that were part of Tenet Media or that were hired by Tenet Media or licensed or content Tenet Media that made videos about it was Benny Johnson and Tim. And Benny Johnson, he did a video on it the day of, but he did not put any of the blame on the US or Ukraine. He just kind of reported on the story and said, the US said it's ISIS and that's it, right? He didn't really do any like further commentary. And then when Tim talked about it, it's interesting. He had Jack Posobiec on that day, and Jack Posobiec 100% because he's, America bad, brain rot. He was 100% blaming Ukraine and America for doing it. But Tim actually suggested that
Didn't
he thought
Posobiec
it
work for
could.
the CIA? Sorry to interrupt.
He claims he used to. I don't know if that's
Yeah, I
ever
don't
been
trust
confirmed
that.
or not. Yeah, but Tim kind of hilariously responded that he thought, or he threw a theory out that maybe it was Russia doing a false flag attack.
hmm.
So that would again sort of play more to Tim's position that he obviously wouldn't know that he was being paid by Russia, because if he was being paid by Russia, he wouldn't throw out this claim that Russia did a false flag on itself. It would seem to go against what Russia would want.
Did you say Benny Johnson just reported? Because you said Tim and then Tim again
I said Benny Johnson did a video
and just reported the
and
news.
just reported it, and then Tim
Okay,
did a video with
right.
Jack Posobiec
Gotcha.
on that
Yeah.
day. Yeah. So then the other thing was apparently the the Russians, they wanted the Tenet Media account to like repost that propaganda piece that Tucker Carlson put out where he was like going to the Russian grocery store and he was so enamored with the remember
Right.
he was so enamored with the shopping cart escalator. He's like, I've never seen one of these before. I've never walked into a two-story grocery store in my entire life in America, even
Really?
though they're all over the place.
I was like, I've been to one of those.
Yeah, I know. He's so hilarious.
I've never taken my shopping cart up the stairs though. I should go back and do that when I go back to
Mm,
California.
That's the funnest thing. What are you talking about?
yeah.
Using the cart escalator, the escalator just for carts. Oh my God.
Yeah, I got to
it's
do that next
amazing.
time I hit up that store in
Well, near
California.
me,
Technological
there's a there's
progress.
a there's a grocery store where there's like a parking garage, and the parking garage is on the second floor and up, and then the grocery store is on the first floor. So it has a little escalator for the shopping cart.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
but and even the producers that they hired for Tenet Media were like, this seems super shill and like weird propaganda that we would put out this or retweet this, and Lauren Chen or her husband were like, do it anyway. So they did.
Yeah. I mean, they got their cut, right? Almost $1 million. It's just weird because everyone always talks about YouTube being such a cutthroat space, but actually some content creator approaching you that's interfacing with Russia and knows it and
Mhm.
is keeping it secret. I mean, that's pretty lame, I'd say.
Right. Well, I mean, judging
Well,
from the indictment,
we'll see. I mean, if you got caught, wouldn't you say that you were a person who would accept money from Russia for like kind of immoral means? Wouldn't you just say, "Oh, I didn't know"?
of course, I
Ju-
mean, that's what you
the-
would
Like,
say.
In the
I mean,
indictment, though,
it's
it's
called being a good
pretty.
criminal.
I mean, they got a lot of evidence against her. So,
No, I'm talking about the other people.
oh yeah, look, obviously, the other people, I'm not sure even did know.
Well,
Yes.
I guess. I mean, I don't know. Like this is all alleged for Tim Pool, but there are certain things that Tim Pool certainly knew about other people in his little roster that he said he didn't know about. So I
mhm.
wouldn't believe him for anything.
Yeah,
Oh,
I mean,
really?
I would understand a level of skepticism. Obviously, people, even if they knew the truth, would say they didn't. I guess the reason I'd be more inclined to believe that is because the indictment itself seems to believe that Tim Pool and the other people were unaware of it. So you'd think if, you think they'd want to go after them if they suspected that they knew where the funding was coming from.
So they just do discovery and we figure this out, or do we just is this just like drama that we're never going to see the end of?
No, they're charging these two Russian people. It's
Is
interesting
this
they
is this
haven't
actually a
charged.
crime?
Yeah, it's 100%
Sweet.
a crime. It was a foreign FARA violation and a money laundering violation. And the interesting thing is that Lauren Chen and her husband were not charged. So people are wondering if they're going to charge later or if they're cooperating with the US government or something. Because if they knew, they definitely, I would imagine, would be legally culpable as well.
Oh, this could be a whole sting where Lauren Chen was actually trying to get information on the Russians, so she took a bunch of money for the U.S. government. I've seen this movie before.
How hilarious would it be if all like that stuff, Adam, that you're talking about, like her like being against women voting, all this like crazy turn shit that she went for, is all part of the act to catch the Russians here.
Yeah, it could be.
Hmm.
I forgot that
Wow.
she had that
So
take.
she's like a
Very
she's a
manosphere
double
take.
agent. I mean, that would save
Maybe.
her reputation instantly, but I'm skeptical that that's going to happen. So we'll
Right.
see.
Yeah. So Dave Rubin, Tim Pool, Benny Johnson, Matt Christensen. I don't know if Lawrence Southern has put out a statement yet, but they've all put out statements saying that they were unaware of the funding, obviously. Um, I'd say as of now, I'd probably lean to that they're probably unaware, considering the indictment seems to lean in
So
that direction as well.
Dave Rubin admitted that he was working with these people.
Yeah, well, he had videos up on their channel. You can go back and check.
Oh, okay,
I
okay.
Yeah. I don't think he is anymore. I think he stopped. The thing that's just super weird to me is like, okay, if I'm getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to produce content or to license content to this YouTube channel, and I look at the YouTube channel and it's not making views. I'm wondering like, why are these people paying me?
I mean,
Yeah.
there are plenty of organizations that are like that. I mean, like big organizations that are
Hmm.
like right and left wing. I mean, Novara Media was one of them that I was like, where's this money coming from? These guys get like no views. This is really strange and weird. And I made that video. I mean, it's kind of hard to prove like where funding comes from unless you have like the specific like bank receipts and shit like that. But it's like it's just really strange that this company has so many employees that would probably cost into the millions of dollars, yet they get
Right.
like 50,000 views on a video. There's no
Yeah.
way they'd be able to afford that.
Yes.
Even with Patreon, like donors like you support us. Like even with random Patreon donors, there's no way you would make that much money.
Now, if I was being paid by them, I don't think my first thought would probably not be like, oh, I'm getting paid by a foreign government. I would probably think, especially according to the fake resume, that I don't know, there's some millionaire who's got a lot of money to burn, and either he just really likes to promote this kind of content, or he fancies himself as being, wanting to get into the game, into the space of the media production, and
Right.
this is like his
Maybe
attempt to
that's
do
like
it.
movie villain levels of intelligence. Like I don't think people with that much money are that stupid unless they're like they made it in crypto or some shit.
I guess, but then I don't know. Would you, if you're getting paid this money, you would think immediately like, oh, this is a foreign government paying me?
No, I would
No,
think it
I would
was
have to
rich,
do
dumb
research.
money.
Yeah, I would just think it's a rich dumb person, but I would definitely investigate
Right.
that and spend a lot of time thinking about it because
Well,
people don't just give you money for free.
right. If I was getting paid that much and I saw a channel was not doing anything and I wasn't getting pressure from the founder to like fix this or to like kind of, to lower the cost or something, I would start to look into who this person is and start to be like, okay, were they actually hired by this bank? And, I then at that point, I started to do a little bit more due diligence if I hadn't done so in the first part. But
The
What
people
what were
getting low
the
views, usually if they're getting low views, they aren't very investigative, which is why they don't get, a lot of stuff.
what were they asking them to post? They mentioned stuff in the indictment about asking them to post about the terrorist attack. On what platform? On their personal social media platforms or on the Tenet
it
YouTube
doesn't
channel?
say in the indictment. I don't
Because
believe.
that is, I mean, that's where you're kind of getting into, like, if they're producing content and they see that the content is not doing well, and then they're asking them to post on their own personal social medias, and they're posting on their own personal social medias, then that's where the overlap can be seen, right?
Hmm.
Like, I'm sure Dave Rubin has a million followers on Twitter, so I don't know who they
Well,
were asking to post.
mhm.
That Benny Johnson guy also has like millions of followers on Twitter. So,
Here's what I think the actual goal for all this was. Because, you could ask, say, okay, what's the point of like Russia paying these people to either license their content or to make content when they're all making their own content on their own YouTube channels already? That's basically the same thing. You can say, well, what's the point of all that? And I think that is an interesting thing. And if you look in the indictment, they talk about how the Russian uh, agent person is upset that Dave Rubin, Tim Pool, and Benny Johnson, these other people are not like sharing the Tenet Media, branding enough. Like they really want them to promote, promote, promote. So I think the plan here was that Russia wanted to get a bunch of big YouTubers, put them on a channel, get that channel popping, and then once that channel is like blowing up, slowly start kind of subbing out, the big YouTubers with
For
their
their
own
own people.
plants.
Yeah.
I
That's a
think
great way
that's
to
really
have a
what the
channel
goal was.
bomb.
But that's what's interesting is the channel just completely sucks and bombed and
I
never
mean, I'm
really.
looking at the views. Okay, so some of this stuff can't be super, super just alleged because like all these people are on this channel, but like
Yeah.
it's like a 300,000 subscriber channel with video views in like the thousands.
Yes, that's what's
Like,
shocking about it. Well, it's also weird too because it's got like big names associated with it, and their videos are just not getting anything.
yeah. Well, clearly whoever runs this account doesn't know what video clips to put in or anything like that. Or doesn't know anything about media. I'm surprised they didn't pay them to consult and tell them how to grow a channel.
Or the FBI tipped off YouTube and YouTube suppressed the channel.
I mean, I guess, but that's kind of hard to prove.
We'll
But
see.
it's
Well,
like
I
you
mean,
kind of wonder how this channel got 300,000 subscribers in the first place.
that could, I mean, it could be botted,
It could
the
be. Let's see. Its
subs.
total views. Its total views are 16 million. That's kind of low for 300,000 subs. So they could be bots.
Yeah, I would imagine. Or it's also weird because it's like if the FBI tipped off YouTube, I don't know, because unless
if
they
it's
knew
if
like
it's
from the beginning, because the views were always low for that channel. It's not like they were like kind of decent and then just dropped off somewhere. They've
There's
always
no
been
if
way
it's
you would hit that number
botted,
of subscribers with views in the thousands.
if it's
right.
botted, that's a perfect excuse for YouTube to suppress the content.
Well, yeah, but if YouTube had evidence that there was massive botting, wouldn't they just wouldn't they just strike the channel or delete the channel? They wouldn't just like ghost suppress it or something.
Not if the DOJ is in the middle of a big investigation.
Well,
That's
if they
like,
knew, I'm saying obviously if they tell them not to do it, sure.
wouldn't that suck for the
But
DOJ? They're like in this big investigation, and then all of a sudden, YouTube just deletes the entire channel.
Well,
They're
if they
like,
right,
delete a
oh,
that's
channel
terrifying.
and nobody actively knows that it's being botted, they could just say we're being canceled. So
Right,
there's plenty of
right.
ways to defend against that, especially if you want to be more nefarious.
Hmm. So what I think the fallout of this is going to be that, obviously Tim, especially, but Dave Rubin and all these other people, they're going to get hit with the you're a Russian paid actor forever now. So, if you're doing anything for money, you make sure you know who's paying you just to avoid that reputation damage. Because even if it's unfair, because, I could believe Tim didn't know where the money was coming from. He's going to get hit with that accusation forever. Though I guess it does say the second angle is how do you feel as a person if you find out that a foreign government is willing to pay you millions of dollars for your takes? Does that
yeah,
make you like
you're on
doubt
their
your
side.
positions at that point?
No, if I'm a bad person, I would lean into that.
Sure. Assuming you're a good
Duh.
person, Sean. Assuming you're you, right? If you find
Oh,
out
well,
that
I
Russia's
don't
paying you
think
billions of
you
dollars.
mentioned like I don't think Tim Pool's a good person. I mean, he hid the
Okay.
Eliza Blue thing and the Jack Murphy thing like crazy.
Hmm.
So that's been my take for like the past 2 or 3 years at this point.
Mm.
You
But
wouldn't
yeah,
take money from Putin to produce content with you, Sean. I'd like to think you wouldn't.
no.
Yeah,
I produce content for like a reason to help people, and if I make enough money to the one point where I don't need like a bunch of extra, so I would never take money to promote a message that I thought was false.
right.
Hmm.
I mean, I do think Putin would love to see the United States in a civil war, and it's something Tim Pool talks about all the
I
time.
don't know,
So,
man. Civil War, Civil War,
what's
Civil
that?
War, man.
Civil War. That's what I don't know if he still does this, but you always go, I don't know, man, and they just say Civil War. So people used to
Oh,
make
he
fun of him
would?
with that. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I know that's kind of civil war is kind of his brand, and obviously Putin wants to sow discord in the United States. That's the ultimate goal of this.
He
So
could be,
Hmm.
and
he
I'm
would
sure
love
Tim
a
Pool knows about like neuro-linguistic programming techniques and like media techniques, as he uses quite a number of them. And so he would know if he gave the mere suggestion of civil war over and over and over again, it would get in people's minds and might make them more likely to have a civil war.
yeah.
It's like that whole thing because I know he fucking knows it because he does the shit like where he's like, we reached out to Tim Pool and he refused to comment. And you know, news organizations do that to like make the person look more nefarious, even though it's like
Hmm.
we reached out him, we waited 10 minutes, he didn't comment, so we're gonna post the
Right.
article.
Yeah,
So you know, stuff like that exists.
of course. Here's the
Yeah.
real question. J-Mac, you're not really secretly Russian, right? We're not gonna get hit with this J-Mac, right? You're not
I've
secretly
already,
working for the Russians.
we both already thoroughly investigated J-Mac. He's
Okay,
safe.
that's true. But well, you be like, listen, like you guys met J-Mac. You should have seen, you should have seen that he was really a Russian spy. He has the Soviet sickle tattoo on like the back of his wrist.
I was wondering about that Russian accent, but other than that,
Oh, of course. Of course. So I don't know. So you guys have anything else, final statements on this whole situation?
I
well, it,
imagine if some of these people can get away with it, they'll just keep their mouth shut and people forget about it.
Hmm. When
I
we
think
say,
it blew up fantastically. I mean, the ultimate goal is to get a bunch of content creators that Americans trust and care about and put out Putin talking points through them. Now, anybody who actually has that opinion, just of their own volition, is going to be their credibility is going to be questioned. So,
Yeah,
I
thanks.
mean that totally works against exactly what Putin wanted.
Oh, okay.
This is like a great move
Right.
for the DOJ. The DOJ is saying, look, all these Putin simps out there, they're getting money directly from Moscow. Don't pay
right,
attention
right.
to them. Yeah. It completely destroys Putin's credibility.
When it really
It,
destroys Tim's credibility and these other content creators' credibility. That's like, okay, yeah, you didn't know that you were, a useful idiot to
That
Russia,
doesn't
but
help. That's not
no,
helpful.
I know. Like, so say it hurts. It destroys
So,
their credibility
yeah.
because it's like,
So, but
okay,
like,
you were basically a useful idiot for for Russia.
yeah,
and
they're dumb
anybody
either
else that
way.
comes out, look, anybody else that comes out, and there's a bunch of people that are on this, anti-Ukraine, pro-Russia,
Right.
like narrative. I wanted to say grift, but we'll say
Hmm.
narrative and be nice. They're going to come out and say, "Look, I'm not taking any money, right? These are my real opinions." And you're going to think, "Oh, yeah, sure. That's what Tim Pool thought."
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
so it's like it's a fabulous move by America, the good old US of A. Like,
Yeah.
fuck you, Russia. Fuck you, Putin.
There was someone, I forget who it was. I saw someone on Twitter, like a bigger account that had this insane retard level conspiracy that was like, oh, maybe it was Russia's plan all along to pay, Tim Pool and all these people a bunch of money and then get exposed as like working for Russia. I'm like,
That is
doesn't even make any
stupid.
sense. That's like retarded. Like, why would you ever do that? What would they gain from that?
That is
Maybe someone in the
stupid.
Russian government who hates the Russian government did that on purpose. This could be like a
There,
triple game.
there you go.
I watched
There
the
you go.
Transformers movie, the
Yeah.
fourth one or whatever. I
Right.
think it was one of the bad ones.
Right. Yeah, because it's
Yeah.
like, okay, like if that was the case, you'd have, the Russians would pay a bunch of, libcuck, moderates, or you have them pay like a bunch of moderate left people or moderate right people that were kind of like, more centristy, and then you expose them as like the Russian stooges.
I
So then
mean,
you'd give more credence to the Tim Pools and all that stuff.
I think a lot of people have a disturbingly low bar for what they're willing to sell out for. I think one of the better examples of that is a video I did about there's this cut experiment where it's like, okay, we're gonna put six people in a room. One of you gets $1,000. You guys all have to decide which one of you gets it. And there was
Hmm.
one that was like super, super offensive, where people were deciding who would get the money, and all the people of the particular race grouped up and started like throwing all these kinds of racial slurs at white people,
Oh my God.
and made themselves look like total assholes, all for $1,000.
Yep.
Like
That's
permanently
horrible.
ruining their reputation, permanently, and they were so bad that they basically got kicked off of Cut and never got invited back. And I don't know if you follow those media programs. They're people who work for Cut for like years. I don't know if they get
Hmm.
paid or anything, but they're consistent, like, reoccurring characters on their show. So I feel like certainly people will do it.
Sure.
I wouldn't doubt there are plenty of people online who would love to sell it to Russia
Hmm.
and make $25,000 a month doing that, especially if they're small channels and can't really get views.
750,000 or $780,000. Wow. Just to be the go between.
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
Uh
Not enough
I'm
money to
curious because
retire, but it's a lot.
I don't think this is really going to harm Tim or Benny or any of those people really at all in terms of, I mean, the left will use this, people that don't like them will use this forever to attack them. I don't think it will really harm their audiences that much. Well, the only thing I'm curious is Lauren Chen and her husband going to just never come on the internet ever again and we'll never hear from them ever? They just completely disappear? Or will they come back and try to, I don't know, pretend like this didn't happen or still make content to some very small audience of people?
You think it will destroy their reputation?
Yes, because I think the reason it will destroy their reputation is because they will be perceived as getting Tim Pool in trouble and getting Benny Johnson in trouble, getting these other people in trouble needlessly. So it's not
Yeah.
like they have a team that they can necessarily rely on to protect them.
They might lose their ability to collab, but if they were good creators, they wouldn't have to collab to get views.
No, but
But a lot of
usually
these
there's a
people
lot of
aren't,
audience
so
overlap between various
that's
creators.
true. But not everybody sees everything.
That is true.
Especially in these days where it's
Hmm.
like, we're not all watching one media channel. We're all watching like 15 different YouTube channels. And if just because like your audience watches Tim Pool or something like that doesn't mean that they all watch the same videos of you. So there are plenty of cases where it's like, I mean, look at the Mr. Beast would probably be a great example. Probably the vast majority of his audience does not know about some of the allegations that are against him right now.
Hmm.
Probably like 90% of them don't know.
Yeah, but I feel like with Mr. Beast, it's like, okay, he does content primarily for like children and normies. So it would make sense a lot of people wouldn't necessarily know about all the controversy, where Lauren Chen is doing content primarily for like news junkie, politically online internet people.
I guess, but they're still like the normie news junkie political internet people that you could farm off of. Also, you can get new
Hmm.
viewers who've never heard about it.
I guess we'll see. We'll find out. I don't know.
There's plenty of ways that they could survive this, which is kind of annoying, but what happens
Right,
happens.
right. Well, it'll be funny to see. Maybe she'll just maybe Lauren Chen will show up in a month or a year later and be like, oh, listen, everyone forgot about what happened, right?
They can always work behind the scenes for one of these bigger companies too.
That's true. That's
Like
true.
that's probably what a lot of them end up doing. Like when Milo Yiannopoulos got canceled for the weird crap take he had on Joe Rogan, he just worked as a consultant.
That's true. Though I
And
feel like this is a little bit more egregious. Well, I feel like it's a lot more egregious than the Milo Yiannopoulos thing.
maybe some
But
people won't care though. Like not if you don't put it on the resume, not everybody knows necessarily who you are. Especially if you go into like smaller companies, and say like you want to work for like a chiropractor company who needs
mhm,
their social media managed. Well, I'm Lauren Chen, and I've got like however many subscribers that she has. I know what I'm doing. Especially people who don't know anything about YouTube metrics and stuff like that. They can't tell like who are the more successful channels and who knows exactly what they're doing versus who just kind of has an idea. So they'll be like, okay, well, this is how you post on Instagram. Like they'll pay like $200,000 for that a year.
right, right.
So I want to
Well,
ask if you're taking stupid money to promote what are essentially your own beliefs,
mhm.
is that different than if you're basically grifting or promoting their beliefs directly?
Um,
Different how? Like morally, legally? What do you mean?
Yeah,
I mean, if
morally.
if if
Like,
they never told you to promote or to like, hey, this thing, I know you believe these things, but how about you ignore this thing over here? Just don't talk about it. Like that's kind of the important stuff, and that's probably what the money was for. It's like, oh, we're not necessarily saying that you can't say or that you need to change your beliefs, but we are saying that you can't talk about this specific thing.
well, that you would be funding them to build a nice studio, to have nice editors, to basically up their game in a way that their personal beliefs might not
Uh,
procure just on their own.
what I love about YouTube? There's this is something that newer channels love to do all the time. Like the people who have like one subscriber, they will buy the most expensive equipment that you can possibly get. They'll get a Shure SM7B, which I didn't have for a long time. They'll get like this really overpriced audio box. They'll get expensive capture card. They'll get expensive lights, a $2,000 camera, and they'll spend like $10,000-15,000 on their setup, and they'll get like one subscriber a month.
Yeah,
And so
look, you've got to have good content as
so
well, but
if
I do
they
think you can
if they
up
think
your
the studio
production.
matters, it doesn't.
Well,
Well, it
studio is
does
for
to
the
some
creator.
extent. Look, I think obviously, David Pakman sits in like a newsy type atmosphere for a reason. Jimmy Dore sits in like a newsy type atmosphere for a reason. Like I sit in my bedroom. Like it's a
right, but like
I
completely
mean,
different.
doesn't the quartering tell the news in his basement?
Look, he even does like a news desk type
But
thing.
his news setup is like his collectibles. It's basically, if you don't count the price of the collectibles that are on those shelves, like it's basically almost a free setup.
Sure, but he's doing like
right.
gaming news. He's not necessarily doing
He
like
sometimes does
news
political
news.
stuff.
Well, look, I accept what you're saying. I think you can have a completely masterful David Pakman level setup and produce crappy content that doesn't go anywhere. But I do think if you are producing good content and you're in like a newsy type studio, it has a different vibe than if you're producing it in your bedroom.
Right. Well,
What
regarding this situation, I mean, they all these people had big, channels before. They already had their setups. I don't think any of the money changed their setup to my understanding of like looking at their content before and after. Um, so I don't know if that's issue, but to answer your question, I mean, obviously it's much worse morally. Like if if someone's telling you to grift or telling you not to cover specific topics or telling you to cover specific topics, that's obviously substantially worse than you just being kind of like a useful idiot that has bad takes that a foreign government enjoys and thus ends up, funding, paying you essentially to give these shitty takes that you have naturally.
Right. I mean,
someone
they are
brought up
distorting the marketplace to some extent, though.
someone brought up Sticks in the comments. Like Sticks has like his wife running the dishwasher in the background of a lot of his videos, and he
Yeah,
gets more views than these people.
right.
Look,
That's true.
it's not impossible.
That's true.
Yeah.
So,
So
well, it's interesting. There is a specific, like, I feel like almost a lot of people like the aesthetic more of the guy sitting in his own house room as opposed to like the professional studio
Yeah, the
look.
Zoomers do. I know that
Yeah.
I've had a lot of talked to a lot of Zoomer creators and a lot of Zoomer fans, and they like the less professional you look, the better.
Hmm.
yeah. Okay.
It's funny, you can tell when people are like so massively brain rot about this whole situation. Is it just me or Stitch? That's how you know someone's not actually like a fan. They don't even know my name. Stitch more animated about these accusations than he ever was
Oh,
about the Biden family
I
taking
thought you messed
foreign
up your own
cash.
name.
So no, that's what the guy said. So it's like, it's funny
Look,
because I
look, they're
basically
probably on a Russian payroll,
they
Sitch. Don't get
probably because
too
no,
upset
I just think
about it.
it's funny because it's like, I'm literally saying, well, I don't think Tim knew about any of this stuff except for, Lauren Chen obviously
Well,
did.
look, and we're
And
going to
people are
listen to
so
Tim's. Let's listen to Tim's
massively
response. Look, I
we
don't
will.
want
But I'm just
to.
saying people are so massively like triggered and like butthurt about this shit.
I
Well,
think doesn't
yeah.
everybody get accused of being like some shill for something, or the gifted their channel? Because especially by the people who don't understand skill versus luck. Because everybody will just say, "Oh, it's you're lucky that you got this many viewers." Like, no, I worked for years to do this shit.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Maybe Hassan though.
Psychological manipulation.
Right, right. Anyway, so you want to watch this clip?
Yeah, I don't want to get accused of like Tim Pool put out a response. I don't neither one of us think Tim Pool knew what was going on. I mean, you can make an accusation that he didn't do his due diligence and is guilty of that, but
Yeah, which I think
like
he
I
definitely
said,
was. But
a million
right,
times already, like we're not bearing the lead. The true story is Lauren Chen knew she was getting a bunch of money from Moscow
well,
and went
yeah,
around collecting American creators. Lauren Chen is also Canadian, right? She's
right.
not even American.
Oh, right, I forgot about that.
And she goes around getting a bunch of American creators to sow discord in America. Like, what the
Yeah, and
fuck?
it is funny for like people who are so
I
cucked that
guess
they're doing the Leslie Nielsen nothing to see here. You guys should be pissed off. Instead of being super like soy cucked about this, you guys should be super pissed off and enraged at Lauren Chen for basically because Lauren Chen did this or is involved in this with the Russia Today people, it's created an entire atmosphere that forever Tim Pool and all these other people will forever be labeled as Russian grifters, Russian
Yeah,
shills
Russian
till the end of
disinformation.
time.
And
Yeah.
Right?
anybody adjacent too. Anybody who has
Yes.
like more free speech beliefs, well, you're just a paid Russian shills. So if they actually took this money,
Right.
thanks assholes.
Right. Yeah. Because yeah, people are now going to start saying like, oh, I bet you there's like so many more content creators that are getting paid by Russia. Right. You're going to have the like the whole Russia accusations are going to increase 100-fold. So if you're getting mad at me and being a soy cuck instead of getting mad at Lauren Chen and Tim Pool for not doing his due diligence, these people, like, you're fucking retarded. You're out of your mind here.
Yeah. People are pissed. So I sent you the link to the Tim Pool response.
I got it.
Sean and I also. So we're gonna do like a 3-2-1. It's like a 2-minute response. So we'll let it play through. Are you guys all got your things up?
Oh, I have a tweet from you. I don't have like the.
That's
Yeah,
the tweet. Yeah.
the
Just click
tweet.
it.
It's got the video in it.
Oh, I thought we were gonna watch it on the stream. Don't you have that little thing that lets us
No,
broadcast?
Not
we're
for
just gonna all
not
click
for
it together.
Twitter videos.
Okay, let me put the sound on.
You're like, isn't
Oh, why don't you just download the video and put it on VLC?
we don't use
You could just.
StreamYards
I mean, we're
here.
not going to pause it.
Yeah, we're just
Just
gonna
watch
play
Oh,
it through.
okay.
If you don't wanna, if you wanna just take a 2.9-minute break.
No, we can just do that.
Okay, ready? Is everyone ready?
Yeah.
I'm
3,
ready.
2, 1, go.
I guess this is Tim Week in the news because I'm just in the news all the time. Now, admittedly, it wasn't my fault that the Harris campaign accused me of calling for what is tantamount to genocide of Democrats. That's a lie, by the way. And we are currently in the process of drafting our formal complaint. We will be filing a lawsuit. But now news broke the DOJ said that there's this RT employees were covertly funding a U.S. company publishing thousands of videos in furtherance of Russian interests. And it is presumed that company is Tenet Media. For those who aren't familiar, this is a new media company, and we license one of our shows, Culture War, to them. And now I'm getting hit up by like everybody in the media. They're emailing me and they're tweeting at me and sending me DMs being like, what's going on with this? Well, I'll make clear immediately in the start of the show. Did you read the indictment? It clearly says that I, as well as the other personalities, were victims. We were deceived by people intentionally to trick us into licensing our content to them. I will add, I have a statement about this, which, we'll launch the full segment, but we never produced anything for them. We had an existing show that was already in production that they licensed distribution for, which meant that the show that we already produced appeared on their network. That was the gist of the deal. So there's no one from their company involved with ours. Their company paid a license fee to broadcast a show that we produce, that we run, that our employees are involved with, and they have nothing to do with. I don't know what, politically, you're going to see a bunch of Democrats making claims and all this other stuff. I can't speak for anybody else involved in the company because I don't know what they do or what their jobs are or anything like that. I can just tell you plainly, Culture War existed well before the license agreement. It will exist well after the license agreement, and they licensed it for a set period, and that meant that the show appeared on their channel. That's it. Like any other show appearing on any other network, we produce it on our own. So we'll talk about that, and admittedly, it's a slow news day. I guess that's why people are talking about me. And Benny Johnson, Dave Rubin, all that stuff. And I like those guys, so we'll defend them as well because this is BS.
All right, that's it.
I gotta say, if he did it, that was a perfect defense.
Yeah,
if
no,
he knew about it.
that's the good.
Yeah,
defense,
but a license fee, like, how much was the license fee? Like $100,000. $100,000 an episode.
No, we didn't know. It was just some kind of media. It's like like the Blaze wants to license out a show, or Daily Wire, or I don't think Young Turks has it.
Wasn't Sean on that show? Wasn't Sean on the Culture War a couple times?
Yeah.
That episode made $100,000.
Well, not for Sean, but
is he going to pay out for that?
I mean, Tim should probably fire whoever's his business guy for like setting. Whoever set up this deal for Tim should be fired. Right? If I was
should be
Tim,
doing
I'd be
research on
furious.
that.
Yeah, because like you didn't do any fucking you didn't do a modicum of research on the people that were going to pay us like boatloads of cash for this. Like, what are you doing?
Tim makes
fuck are you
like
doing?
boatloads of cash already, so it's probably like he's already in that ballpark. So
But it doesn't matter. But when you're like a big person, okay, and people are talking about licensing your content, or paying you for content, like you have to be super on guard for your reputation to make sure you don't want to wander into some like deal that, oh look, you're working for a Colombian drug lord or something, right? And your business and your people that are hired to look at these things are supposed to do that.
Well, this is the thing. When it's Lauren Chen, your defenses come down. This is not a stranger. This is someone you know.
But
Tim
is
in
politics. Are you kidding me? You like politics? You trust everybody as far as you can throw a piano. Like it's There's a reason why I shifted to cultural stuff and I don't talk about politics on my channel very much, is because a lot of the people in politics are not good people.
Right. Except for
But
us, obviously.
you understand the psychology of someone that you have a business relationship with. You establish some kind of trust, right?
Yeah. But also if it's my reputation on the line, this is still a business relationship. I'm still going to do my investigation and due diligence. And certainly if we have a contract, I'm still going to have a lawyer read that contract or something like that. Or like,
Sure, okay, but a lot of people will do the friend thing. I
Well,
do think it's a
I'm sure someone read the contract to make sure that they weren't getting scammed. They just didn't do their due diligence to find out who the
oh
fuck
no,
was paying them.
I would investigate and read and have a professional
Of
read the
course.
contract.
Right. You'd
Like you
hope.
gotta sit there and be a little investigator and stuff like that. Like a lot of the YouTube skills that I use carry over to a lot of other really good things. I just don't think that Tim Pool would be that stupid. Like
I don't know.
because he's been in this business for a long time. He's worked for major media corporations and stuff like
Hmm.
that. Like he should know that this stuff exists. I mean, he can certainly say one of his employees was incompetent, but then if that's the case, then he should fire that person immediately, like you guys said.
Right. I
Because
mean, it's good.
this is a huge hit to his reputation.
Oh yeah, this is a massive hit to his reputation. It's going to dog him for probably ever. It's funny because he's calling himself the victim. On one hand, you're like, okay, how's he the victim? He's getting paid hundreds, he's literally millions of dollars to license his content. On the other hand, now that this is all out, I guess he is a victim because his reputation will be forever marred by this, but from his own doing. So
yeah, I mean, I'd be curious if he negotiated the deal himself. I mean, obviously, he's talked before when there was the blow up with Steven Crowder and the Daily Wire. He talked about his negotiating with the Daily Wire about getting involved in some sort of business relationship. So you have the idea that Tim Pool is the one pulling the strings on these kinds of negotiations.
But Tim
So if
Pool
he
was
did it
working with the
himself,
Daily Wire for a while.
they never,
I
according
don't,
to
I
Tim
don't,
Pool, they never got anything off the ground. So
but it looks like he was trying to, at least 2 or 3 years ago.
when do you remember when it came out that Steven Crowder was offered, I don't know, something like $10 million from Daily
That was like
Wire, and he,
a year and a half ago. It's definitely after the Tim Pool stuff because the Tim Pool stuff happened before I moved to Texas, and the Steven Crowder stuff happened after I moved to Texas.
okay, well, when the Steven Crowder stuff happened, Tim
mhm.
Pool talked about him trying to work with the Daily Wire on potentially producing a show together. And he discussed those negotiations because it was relevant to Steven Crowder's negotiations with the Daily Wire. So,
Right.
but
Well,
I
I guess
mean, he kind of tried to play both sides of that. Obviously,
right.
he
You
likes
could
Steven Crowder and he does like Daily Wire.
make the argument that that Tim Pool would be more involved personally with negotiations with the Daily Wire to produce original content for them, as opposed to someone comes over, like Lauren Chen comes over and says, we want to license, clips from your podcast or whatever.
Yeah, look, and that's why I'm saying I don't know if he has somebody that he works with that does lower level negotiating on
Right.
ad spots.
Lower level, I mean, like lower level will be a couple $1,000s. If you're getting paid $100,000 a video or some big number like that, like I would
So
definitely be
make
there.
up your mind. Is he involved or not? Which one do you think it is?
Oh, me? Oh, I think he's in, like if that channel is his, I think he knows.
You guys keep flip
Person.
flopping back and forth. It's like,
Well,
do you think he negotiated the deal or not? I'm saying,
Like I
look,
said, I have zero trust for Tim Pool after the Jack Murphy and the Eliza Blue thing.
look,
So
I don't know. I've not seen any evidence. I don't know that he negotiated or not. I pointed to the Steven Crowder stuff because he actually talks about how he was involved in negotiations with Daily Wire. So maybe he does all the negotiations for his channel. Maybe he did negotiate with Lauren Chen. Maybe somebody who works for him negotiated
let
with
me
Lauren
put it
Chen.
this way. And this doesn't necessarily mean that Tim Pool would work this way, but back in the day, because Tom Likas used to talk about this all the time, is he was a big radio personality who did kind of like red pill stuff for the 2000s. He would be in there with ad deals with like Pepsi and stuff like that, talking with the agents with the radio network about their time slot. I don't know if that was standard radio procedure or something like that, but it's definitely like it's not unheard of if you're negotiating a major contract where you're going to get paid. I get millions of dollars in Tom Likas' case, or hundreds of thousands of dollars, or tens of thousands of dollars in Tim Pool's case. You probably would want to be there and have the best man forward there.
No, I would think that too. Like you have a low level guy that looks at small licensing gigs, right? And then as soon as they're like, oh, well, this is going to be $100,000 an episode, you're like, what? Maybe they should talk to the big boss, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's usually how it rolls. So, but look, maybe he didn't negotiate this. Maybe somebody who works for him did. If that happened, that person obviously should be fired.
I mean,
You know?
how much money is he making elsewhere for this to not be like a big deal that he would investigate? Because I know YouTube ad revenue doesn't pay nearly that much.
But he has this subscription model that he set up on his website forever ago. And
Do we know how many subscribers he has?
I'm pretty sure Tim Pool is making like maybe like he's making obscene amounts of money. I've seen other people talking about it. So I think $100,000 a video is probably not really a big thing for him. So that's
Okay.
that
Well,
was my argument.
This would depend on how much money it is to him. I still don't trust him though.
Right.
Okay, so we'll just so we all just so we're all cards at the table. What's that? Because my take is I don't think Tim or any of the commentators were aware. I think they were just kind of like they said like getting a lot of money. They didn't really care to investigate any of this stuff whatsoever.
Yeah, look, I agree with
the
that. I
chat's
think it
pointing
was
out how much he makes in super chats. They might be right about this. I'm going to give Tim Pool 10% more trust because of that, because he makes a lot of money in super chats. He might have ignored this.
Right.
Or
well, he
ignored
also he has like a monthly subscription thing that I think he has like 10,000, maybe 50,000 people that give him $5 a month or something like that. So I do think he makes maybe $100,000 just on subscriptions, like $100,000 a month just on subscriptions, maybe more. I mean, you could. Sitch is probably busily Googling on this, but
No, I'm not. I don't care.
okay. So he.
I
makes,
think
I don't think
Tim
he'd release
makes
how many subscribers he has.
I think Tim makes shit tons of money. I think he makes enough money that even though the $100,000
this is
an
not worth it.
episode
Yeah, this is not worth it.
was a lot, but not like some massive amount of money that would, be super fixated about doing or just focusing on. So
Yes. And you'd be negotiating with Daily Wire because you want to build relationships with those people. But at the same time, like I'm sure Lauren Chen's been on his show. I'm sure he has a relationship with Lauren Chen. Lauren Chen has a relationship with all these people. So, and I think it's completely naive to think you give the same sort of benefit of the doubt. Well, no, you have your guard up with someone that you know and have a personal business relationship with, or even just is in the space as a content creator. You have your guard up for them in the same way that you have your guard up for some perfect stranger that just contacts you over the internet. Obviously, someone that you've worked with before, that you know, growing up in the content creator space, is made videos as roaming millennial. She's got a career. Like it's funny because I was thinking back. I don't know if you remember, but when Steven Crowder did have his blow up with Daily Wire, Lauren Chen came out and made a video about how she contemplated working for Steven Crowder, and she did a meeting with Steven Crowder, and she felt really bad about that meeting because she was just like very non-committal to him, and Steven Crowder ran his business like a family business. I mean, she's basically trying to throw Steven Crowder a bone. I don't know about the timeline, but I'm thinking, it was about that time that two Russians were contacting her and saying, oh, by the way, how about this deal? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the Steven Crowder deal doesn't seem like a good deal anymore when you're making $700,000 just to be a go-between to produce content with these other creators, right? You're totally using your relationship with these people. Look, Sitch and I have built relationships with these people. Like, imagine me going to Sean and saying, hey, Sean, I've got an idea. How about I pay you $100,000 to produce content for my YouTube channel?
I'm still investigating that.
Look, I'm convinced I could my reputation is good enough at the moment. I could probably talk Sean into it, but he's not going to think, oh my God.
I'd be Googling news of what's Adam up to. I'd be Googling the shit out of
you. Sean, you would cash the paycheck just like everyone else. You would put your head down and you'd go, oh my God, Adam has access to dumb money. Just like, look, you said at the beginning of this thing, you would just think it was dumb money. That's what you would think. I'd say, look, I live in LA.
Who are around trusted friends, and I still investigate the fuck out of those people.
Look, I live in LA. I have access to a bunch of dumb money. Look, we're going to pay you a bunch of dumb money, Sean, to make some videos. They're not going to get any views, but this guy has more money than he knows what to do with. You'd be like, okay, send me the check, Adam. You know you would, Sean.
I'm telling you, I just brokered a deal with an agency right now where I know the people and I investigated the fuck out of them before I made the deal.
Because you didn't have a relationship with them ahead of time.
No, I did.
Okay, so it's your mom or dad works at the agency?
Yes, my mom or dad works at the agency.
No, they don't. Come on. Do you have a friend that works at the agency? How did you come in contact with the agency?
I have friends who are in the agency.
Okay, a good friend or an internet friend?
I mean, as good as YouTube friends could be.
Okay, so like
probably roughly a similar relationship to like Lauren Chen and Tim Pool.
Okay. Well, look, I think Lauren Chen and Tim Pool have been in the same room. I think she's been on his podcast a bunch of times. So
I believe so. I mean, I wouldn't doubt it. They're all in like the political space. It's like a kind of everybody, at least on the same side, everybody kind of interacts with each other and knows each other.
Look, if Sean wants,
if
the other Sean wants to come on, we can send him the link. Sitch, I don't care. Do you care?
I don't care.
Yeah.
I'll send him a link if you want me to.
I don't know.
He's yelling at you. He says that you got the timelines all wrong. I don't know what timeline.
Okay, well, bring him on. He can straighten out the timeline. I don't care.
I mean, I would believe that Sean, the Sean we're trying to do right now, seems to me to be both highly moral and highly autistic. So I don't think he would take your money at him. I think he would investigate.
Which Sean is the autistic one? Okay.
My internet autism would not allow me to take a deal that I didn't investigate.
Exactly.
That's
people are saying a debate's going to happen right now.
Well, look, if Actual Justice Warrior wants to come on and defend Lauren Chen, I think this is a bad time to do it. But send him the link, okay?
I don't know if he wants to. I wasn't really listening. You were laying out some long argument that I honestly wasn't really paying attention to, so I don't know what the issue.
Good.
is. But...
Good. That's what I like to hear.
But anyway, I think Tim was highly negligent and highly irresponsible. I don't think he knew. I think the same is true of Dave Rubin and anyone else that was working with Tenet Media. I don't, at least from the indictment that we have, I don't believe there's any evidence that they were being coached by the Russians or Lauren Chen specifically on content to produce, except for that one instance about covering the Moscow thing, which no one apparently seemed to have covered in that way anyway. So,
I mean, I guess it's a lesser hit to your reputation if you didn't know, but it's still like a lack of due diligence, especially.
This is a massive reputation hit, right? But it's just not as massive as being a literal, Russian.
Like it's like a 100% reputation hit if you knew about it versus like a 50%.
I'm not sure it's that big a difference because of the information landscape. I'm not sure. Like the mainstream media is going to hit the story that they knew about it and are total Russian shills. And the fact that they didn't know about it might not really make any sort of audience saturation. So, if that's the case, it makes zero difference.
That's true.
So, when did this break?
Did you send Actual Justice Warrior the link? I just want to know.
I sent him the link, yeah.
Oh, okay. I just want to know if he pops up.
Sean, have you ever met other Sean?
No. I've watched some of his videos.
He's best friends with Lauren Chen. You should meet him. No, I'm just
get some of that Russian money.
Look, that was a joke. Joke.
If they got $100,000 for an 8,000 view video, how much am I going to get?
Oh, there you go.
Time to sell out.
Right. Let's do it, baby.
Look, you're like, I'm going to do my due diligence, and then I'm going to take the money from Moscow.
Exactly. I want to make sure I know about it.
Right.
So I can later say I didn't know about it.
Terrible.
What is this?
What is what?
Strain sent me playboard.com YouTube ranking most super chatted. We're the most super chatted daily YouTube stream.
Is that true?
Congrats.
What? Is that true? I don't know. That's hilarious if that's the case.
Bring it up.
How could
Send
that
me the
possibly
link.
be true?
Send me the link. That can't be true. First of all, check the feed. Second of all, thank you, J-Mac.
That's hilarious if that's the case. Listen, We're thanks to viewers like you, right?
Of course, yeah.
Do you guys mind if
Well,
I take a little bathroom break?
You
I
go
had
ahead.
Yeah, of
coffee before I
course.
came on.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I don't
I
know
mean,
how to
listen,
take-
I feel like we're one of the few YouTubers that actually reads all the super chats.
That is
so
true. Yes.
most people
Yeah,
don't
we
read them.
do. Which we should
Yeah.
probably get into super chats.
We
anyway,
should.
so
We should.
I'm
Let's
sure
do
there'll
that
be
now.
plenty of good stuff to respond to.
The Wooster for $5 says the day of the beanie has arrived. I like it. Look at that. The day of the beanie.
Should I bring up that beanie meme, which is pretty hilarious, but
What? Oh no, I don't think so.
don't bring it up. Okay.
People, yes, people on Twitter were already calling him Vladimir Putin. I was like, oh, ouch. Anonymous Kyle for $5. You know, it's funny too, because like, Tim is getting hit the hardest. I guess just because he's like the most notable. Even though I guess because he was doing a license, which is significantly less than the people that are actually producing the content for specifically the media channel. Anonymous Cow for $5 says, hope you guys can give me any reason why I should care about this BS. Lefties on X spamming Russian agents is not enough other than optics. Well, you should here you don't want to fall into the trap of the left is like crowing about something, so you're going to immediately be dismissive or defensive about something. It is a big deal if you have a situation where a foreign government is paying a bunch of YouTubers. That's a big deal, even if they don't know about it. So that is something that we should 100% care about. And YouTubers need to be 100% more responsible going forward in the future now, especially after this, to make sure they're not being the useful idiots or the willful, useful, or the willing, not the willful, just I guess the useful idiots for Russia or any other foreign country. So
This is just for a particular day, Wednesday. Yesterday we were the most super chatted. So we could I mean, it would be interesting to see over time. Maybe this does. I mean, it looks like it has a lot of metrics here. Here, I'll screenshot it and
you can do weekly.
oh, can I?
It still says
Interesting.
weekly. We're number 1.
Okay.
Says number 2 is Yarn Brook. I feel like this can't be possibly true.
I
Wait,
see number 3 is Yarn Brook.
no, I did for
Alan
weekly.
Lichman. Oh, okay. You changed the thing.
Well, here's the only thing I'm confused about this is where Tim Pool's not on this. He's got, I mean, he makes like so much fucking money. And
Yeah, it's gonna be thousands per episode.
Right. So I guess I'm a little confused as to where
Maybe more than that. Probably
these
at least
numbers come.
thousands.
Maybe his channel is not included on this for some reason. But well, anyway, thank you guys for all the support.
Yeah, look at that.
Look at that. Okay. Where was I?
Now it's time to get to work. Now we got
Someone
to
in the
read all
chat's
those
defending
super
me.
chats. Look, it's so funny.
Well, this is the
You guys
category we're looking
are-
at is specifically politics, so it wouldn't include EFAP because yeah, they get a shit ton of money too. Or shit
Oh,
ton of
yeah.
super chats.
Interesting.
Your Fox says I looked it up before. Timcast IRL made $2 million total. Really? Wow.
Oh, this is interesting. Okay, hold on. You gotta,
What?
well, I think doesn't like Destiny have some sort of giant $1 million, $100 million kick thing?
He has a bunch of. Well, I think he has a bunch of members and stuff.
Oh,
So-
okay.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
Destiny's not hurting for money.
No, I know. Like it says that we get more super chats than he does, but he probably rakes in a bunch of money. So
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I just thought it was funny.
it is funny. Stargate 404 for $5 says, regardless of the truth of the allegations, I feel awful for their young kids. Who's young kids?
I know Lauren has kids.
Oh, Lauren Chen's
Or a
kids.
kid.
I mean, I guess, but sure, her kid doesn't do anything wrong.
What do you mean?
and
Their college fund just went up by $700,000.
That's true. M8566 for $5 says, hail Mamala, Queen of Brat, daughter of California, defeater of Orange, bringer of joys, all maggots, tremble at her majesty. Also, Tim Walls. I like that. It's impressive. It's impressive. Through the wormhole for $2 says, resist libs right again. There you go. The Wooster for $5 says, it's been known for a while that Lauren Chen's husband was a shady Arab dude. Wouldn't be surprised if he had some Emmy Russian connections. Really, I don't know anything about her husband being a shady Russian dude, but okay.
He's
I've seen her
Russian or
husband.
Arab?
Lauren Southern, or they say Lauren
Or
Southern
Arab, I
or
mean,
Lauren
yeah.
Chen. She's been at a party that I was at. I don't know if I actually met her husband though.
Jerome
Sometimes
Bound
we're
for
just
10
kind of in the same area. I don't think I ever talked to her.
Right. Jerome Bound for $10 says, this on the day that they go after the whole Trump campaign. Recently had a stroke, but I got to stay alive so I don't vote Democrat. By the way, you are the Batman Superman of team ups. Nobody is a sidekick. Well, thank you, Jerome.
That's awesome.
Appreciate that. The Better Anvil for $2 says prep for chat throwing conspiracies against the wall. There you go.
Her husband's
Oh,
Irish.
I know.
Says other Sean.
Look at this. He knows.
How dare you call him Shady Arab, the Wooster? It's untrue. Christian Baller for 29 months says, thank you. Says, been getting into fragrances a lot recently. And it got me wondering, what cologne do Sitch and Adam like to wear? Obviously, the only cologne a man should wear, Axe body spray. Okay. You got to like literally, you got to attack the women with the sharp edge of your cologne. With
I heard women love that shit.
Oh my God.
You just
spray it on. You just got to hold the spray button down for at least a full 10 seconds to get the desired effect.
Nobody who wears Axe doesn't put that on for at least a 20-second spray.
Yeah.
Just make sure everybody in the nearest mile can smell you.
Yes. Yes.
I do the original Old Spice. So.
Wow. There you go.
That's about as fancy as I get.
They think like, especially the people who think you can just not shower and spray Axe on yourself and it works. It's like, no, you just smell like ass and Axe.
Yeah, but they cancel out, right? You have two bad smells
they don't.
Cancel out to make a good smell. Isn't that how
that's not how that works.
It's just a neutral smell, right?
Okay. God, it must have been so awful. Like being a middle school teacher, you have all those kids going to PE and then coming into class like stinking. Jesus.
Oh, I remember like people had contests in middle school for how little you would wash your PE uniform.
Oh, Jesus. Okay, we didn't have it that bad. Libertarian Sasquatch for $2 says Lauren and her husband look so bad, in my opinion. Oh, 100%.
Yeah, I agree.
The Justice 35 for $10 says Sitch. This makes you wonder who else is getting paid to show for Russia. Like, how is it that all these guys have all the same talking points? RFK, Dave Smith, Bull, Rubin, S class is best class. See, that's like what you just laid out. That's the big reputational damage that's going to hit all the independent spaces. Everyone's going to get hit with that getting paid show to Russia.
For having the same opinion, I mean, like a lot of people, in the commentary community, it's kind of like a cancer where they'll just watch each other's videos and like repeat each other, like almost word for word. So it could be that. I wouldn't necessarily say that would be because they're being paid by Russia.
Where do you stand on Russia, Ukraine?
I don't. Well, hold on. I don't think most of these people are getting. I don't think most of these people, or really any of them besides this, are getting paid by Russia. I think it's what you laid out, Sean, that there's a lot of audience capture and sort of like a specific narrative form says like you cannot trust the mainstream. So there's kind of a reactive, like whatever the mainstream says, we kind of go the opposite of direction.
Yeah.
Yeah. As for the Russian-Ukraine thing, I haven't investigated enough to care. There's certain issues that I skip. This is just one of the ones I've skipped. I just don't like war. So whatever gets us out of war, I don't care.
Whatever gets us out of war? What if it's complete genocide of the American people?
Oh, well, then we should probably go to war.
Okay, I agree. Yes. Yes, we should.
But I skipped this and the Israel issue. I don't care.
Good for you. J Macker Circuit Father for $20. Thanks so much. Says Republicans in bed with Russia, Democrats in bed with the Chinese. Who will you guys get in bed with? Maybe the Finnish. I have some contracts in Romania. Mongolia has been pretty quiet lately. Well, we can't listen. We can't get in bed with Mongolia because they're
going to get that Andrew Tate money from Romania.
No. Listen, we can't go in bed with Mongolia because they're going to get thrown out of the ICC. We're going to get in bed with you, J-Mac. Listen, whoever you're in bed with, J-Mac, we're going to be in bed through you. All right.
Right. We'll have Sean do our due diligence for us.
No. We're not going to
teach you how to Google search.
No, we're going to keep Sean as far away from JMac as possible so that if it comes out that JMac is really being funded by the King of Mars to prepare humans for the, the initial alien takeover, that we can just say that we were, we didn't know, right?
For the human horn.
Yeah, exactly.
The human horn harvesting.
The horrible human horn harvesting. Detective Stabler SVU for $5 says, ooh, turns out Hillary plus DNC paid to create the whole scheme. Deja vu. I don't think that would happen, but okay. Stargate 404 for $10 says, if they were cooperating with authorities as informants, they'd be instructed to elicit info from the suspects and not act different to avoid raising alarm, but usually indictments conceal CIA identities. Well, I mean, is Lauren Chen actually named in the indictment at all? I don't think anyone's named in the indictment at all, except for the Russians, so.
Yeah, everyone just kind of figured it out.
We'll find out. Oh, like what, like 4chan figured it out or something?
I mean, well, when they say like big media company, You know, people that here's their YouTube subscriber count. I don't know. People just seem to figure it out like instantaneously who it was. So
I mean, they had a 4chan to figure out where a flag was located just by uh
the clouds
the
and
track, yeah, the
stars.
clouds
Yeah.
from airplanes are like, okay,
Right.
10 people look at this Google Maps and 10 people look at this one. We're gonna find out where this flag is.
Right. Right.
Will Trump comment on this? How does this fit into the
Of
election?
course not. What would he ever bring this up?
I
Is
would,
it
yeah, if I was
useful?
Trump, I would keep my mouth shut about this.
No, no, he wouldn't come onto this. He's
Because
like, that's why I only did a 10-minute interview with that Tim Pool. I knew
yeah,
you were shady.
he was on Lex Friedman
Yeah, that's
recently,
what I'm
wasn't he?
thinking.
He was.
He's been on a lot of the internet shows now.
Yep. Rust the 0 for $5 says, I find it funny the Russian government wasted money on a man, Tim Pool, who thinks they are just as evil as Ukraine. Does he think they're just as evil as Ukraine? I don't know. I know because that last clip he had where he was just screeching about how evil Ukraine was. But
I mean, yeah, again, you can 4D chess some of this shit and be like,
right.
oh, both of them are evil, but only say the evil things about Ukraine.
Well, you have a
Okay,
situation,
Russia.
and even the indictment talks about this. Like the Russian goal here with the propaganda is just to kind of spread a lot of conflicting, chaotic narratives about things. So, you know, they would be fine, I guess. If I'm Russia, all you really care about is, you know, you want the idea that we shouldn't be funding Ukraine. Like that's the main idea you want out
Well,
there.
and they want people to question the election. They want to undermine our institutions, our democratic institutions, that by any means
Right.
necessary. Yeah.
Right. That's true.
That's
Do
why
they
they're
want that
getting
because they
involved
want
in
to-
the elections.
They want a weaker presence for like they don't want the U.S. to get involved with Ukraine or try to defend them or anything like that, or
Yeah. They
Yeah,
want a
okay.
of course.
a weaker American foreign presence everywhere. So
I guess in general they because like it's the three places are like China, Russia, and the U.S. So I guess they just want to weaken one of their enemies.
right.
I heard that thing where
Kid,
they're giving free entry into Russia if you're not woke or some shit like that. I thought that was hilarious if that's true.
oh my God, it's Sean too.
Sean
Sean
squared.
Oh my
Sean
God. He
squared. Oh my
finally he
God.
came,
Oh, he's
he did it. He
extra
showed
points
up.
for the reframing.
Holy
I've not
shit.
met other Sean.
Let's bring up this thumbnail from I don't have
Hello,
a picture,
Sean. Meet
Sean. I
other
hope you don't
Sean.
mind. I'm gonna have to use the picture from the Tenet Media channel.
Oh, yeah, they did me dirty in that one, honestly.
Yeah, Sean. Okay, I know that on January 6th you had frame damage for your car, right? We all know the story. Okay, well that's very important.
Yeah,
But
where were
how
you
come
at?
on the day of the Moscow attack you were on the Tenet Media channel? Can you explain this, please?
It's inexplicable, honestly. I didn't even
Oh
know
my
what
God.
Moscow attack you're talking about.
When they attacked the concert hall, there's like some ISIS attack or something. Don't remember.
What was I even on Tenet Media for? Was I talking to the super mayor?
You were talking about the Super Mayor, yeah.
Yeah, well, totally not connected. But yeah,
what was the
uh,
deal? What was the deal for you to be on the channel?
I was just asked to do an appearance where I explained the super mayor to Matt Christensen.
They didn't pay you in
Okay,
like
so
rubles
you
or something.
so you appeared on his channel and explained it, and then they used that on the Tenet Media channel.
I think it
'Cause-
might have been on the Tenet Media channel because Matt Christensen's one of the commentators.
Oh, okay. So he just called you in and said, explain this, kind of the same way we always call you in to explain stuff. Only
I got
we're not
DM.
taking money from Russia.
No, I'm actually a little upset. I mean, if you're gonna throw around money to your internet friends, you know, and it
Especially in
has
this kind of numbers, right? I
yeah,
mean,
it
that
has all
could
this plausible deniability. I mean,
Yeah, wait a
shit.
minute. Wait a minute. What the fuck? Okay. Why did Lauren Chen not give you some of that fat Russian money? What the fuck?
No, I mean,
Exactly.
look,
That's
this
what I want
is
to know.
this is very upsetting. I'm not gonna say that I'm not unbiased in this. Like Lauren Chen has been like the nicest person to me in the entire online space.
She was
Like
preparing you. She was grooming you.
she got me a free ticket to like an event, like one of those speaking events, and then introduced me to the organizers, and that's how I got a bunch of different speaking events. When I needed a rep, she recommended a rep, and that like doubled my income. Like she's, when I what you call it, when she comes to visit New York, we'll go out to dinner like with her husband and now my current wife, and so like she's always been good to me. So this is like really, distressing if true, but I understand why people would believe in this, like if she brought you an idea of like a creator centered network, I get why people would buy into that because she has like that level of trust behind the scenes.
Yeah,
So,
see, that plays into what I'm saying.
well,
Everyone
do you
let their
have
guard down.
Yeah.
do you
Like
do you
to
have
give
a
you an example, when like
yeah.
I recently got married, and by the way, Sean, I know that you are getting married, or if you got married, congratulations.
No, that fell through.
Oh, well, then I'm sorry for bringing it up.
No,
Awkward.
no problem. No problem.
But yeah, no, like I didn't bring a lot of internet people to that, but like the first ones that my wife and I agreed on inviting would have been them, or was them. But yeah,
Well,
it's
look, this might be a testament to you, Sean, because she knew you'd probably see through something like this or investigate the shit out of it like you always do with your
well,
content. And she's like,
so
oh man, Sean will discover me.
Exactly.
so I read the indictment, and it seems like what they did, according to the indictment, was when people asked who's financing it, they said this random billionaire, and that was a person who didn't exist. And they produced like a profile for this like random billionaire. And like in conservative media, it is not unusual for a startup to be funded by some billionaire that you never heard of.
Oh, of course. Yeah. The
So
dumb
like,
money. Of
I mean,
course. They
a
want to
lot
get
of
involved.
the bigger media companies are have that issue. So, but it's like, because then people were bringing that up with the Daily Wire and stuff like that because they were funded by some oil tycoon or some shit.
yeah. Like the Wilkes brothers, I think, who were backing Ted Cruz, and coincidentally, Ben Shapiro was very big on Ted Cruz, and like that's why he part of the reason he left Breitbart, who were very big on Trump. But yeah, so that's not unusual. And like even the idea of like, oh, well, this person, I didn't like find anything on him when I Googled them. It's like not every billionaire is Mark Cuban. A bunch of them try to hide their identity. Like I remember I watched a John Oliver segment where he was covering some billionaire, and there's like literally one photo of him out there in the public. Like, so like this is not like it's not impossible for, and I think it's likely that if the creators did know, this would be, you know, in the indictment. Like it wouldn't say the opposite. Like part of what's being alleged is that they misled people into where they were getting their funding.
Well, let me ask you, Sean, if you got this deal, would you think you'd have investigated this guy, or you'd just been like, yeah, money?
Listen, when I heard about this like new company that like Lauren and Liam were running, I was
Mhm.
like, well, who's funding it? Like, what's the deal behind it? So like,
Already you're asking the
yeah,
wrong questions. You're not going to
Exactly.
get in.
yeah,
I feel like
that
if I didn't know that the person who funded as the other Sean now, I wouldn't. I would if this is like some faceless billionaire, I would just say no and just skip out on the money.
Yeah. I look, I'm telling you, as somebody who like did not get an offer from Tenet Media, if Lauren and Liam would have approached me and they're like, "Hey, here's the pitch," and I would have looked at the contract and the number would have been right, and I ask who's funding it, and then I look into the billionaire and I'm like, there's not a lot on him, and then they've been like, "Look, it's one of these like private to himself like kind of people." Then I might have signed on like the trust from like years of a relationship that I built with these people, that I built with
Yes,
them.
totally.
So like I could have been on the wrong end of this because again, they're like that good to people behind the scenes, and they've been that good to me behind the scenes.
She spared you because she really does like you.
Yeah. But
I was
There we
about to
go.
ask
Yeah.
that.
Adam, your timeline is so bad though. The
What do you, okay.
crowd,
Well,
yeah,
look, what
the
do you
Crowder
want from
thing.
me?
Like, remember, I covered the
I'm not
Crowder
the
thing.
one who's involved in these secret backroom
Okay,
deals, Sean.
but
Okay.
Crowder. So when she did stuff with
Wait a minute,
Crowder, that
before we get to timeline, can we get a better picture of Sean? You looks like he's like on cocaine or
I
crack or
know
something.
what
What is this
they
picture?
did
It's
do
so
you
bad.
dirty on the Tenet channel. Look at this. You've got it looks like you've on a 3-day speed bender.
It's like a
What's
straight
up
up
with those
H on his
dark
face too.
circles under the eyes?
no, I've always had those dark circles. That's just factual representation.
Okay, well
But
we're gonna look for a good picture of you. Go ahead.
But
Go
for the timeline, you're like, oh, she didn't sign with Crowder and went to Russia Today. That's not remotely true. She went to CRTV, and Crowder, being the fucking bitch that he is, never spoke to her again, even though Steven Crowder worked at CRTV.
Oh
Like,
wow.
and she was like, yeah, it was like a family environment and all that, but like CRTV offered her double the money. So it's like you want somebody to take half the money to work for Steven Crowder, which, by the way, best decision of your entire life not working for Crowder. Look at all his ex-employees.
Oh, of course,
So
yeah.
Yeah,
Look,
a
she
lot of
did the
people
right
mysteriously
thing.
disappeared off of his show.
yeah, well, Crowder worked,
Mm.
but I'm sorry, not Crowder. Lauren worked at CRTV. CRTV gets bought by Blaze. If you remember that era where she was at the Blaze, Then she
Yeah.
went to Russia Today. I mean, it's literally in the indictment, like the timeline of when she was with Russia Today. That's why I'm like, you can't get it this wrong, Adam. Come on.
Okay. I stand
Is that
corrected,
is that
obviously.
relevant
So.
to
Well, no,
to
because he's
anything?
like, she left Blaze. She didn't
Mhm.
go to Crowder to go sign with the Russians. Like, that's not true. Like,
Yeah.
so it is relevant.
Okay.
Thanks for correcting the record.
But yeah,
Yes.
Just for
for these
doing that, I'm
creators,
going
it
to
looks
give you a
like they
good
didn't
picture.
know, and I know a few of them, and one of them I know personally, and that specific creator churned, and I don't know, which is why I'm being vague, churned down a contract from Russia Today because that creator did not want to work for the Russians. So if they were tricked
Ooh,
into working for the Russians, like that's absolutely horrible.
that's interesting.
Oh, so,
So,
and that creator is still with Tenet Media?
well, first of all, there's only 6 creators listed on Tenet Media. I don't know if they're
Okay.
still doing stuff.
What is the
But Dave
creator?
Rubin definitely wouldn't have checked, in my opinion, as somebody who's never spoken to Dave
Well,
Rubin.
according to the indictment, he was the most concerned out of everyone.
Oh, huh?
So,
That's
I
surprising.
mean, he didn't do. You would think one of them would have tried to contact his bank that supposedly this guy worked for, see if any of this is true. But I guess no one
Oh, and as for
cared.
the money thing, listen,
Yeah.
I did that whole Tim Pool versus Adam Krigler thing, and I know
Mhm.
Adam. Adam's a great guy. I've met Tim a few times because I've done a show a few times. Adam Krigler said that the show was making like $25,000 per episode back in like 2020, the Timcast IRL. So
Mhm.
100K, like, 4 years later to license a show, because
Is
you have to
not that
pay.
much. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Okay.
remember, they're theoretically, if this is a real business, they're paying it to draw in viewers to make money later down the line. But once you're playing with Russian funny money, like then it really doesn't fucking matter how much you're throwing at them.
Right. But again, I mean, if you're getting paid this and you see this channel never takes off, I mean, it should raise some red flags. If the people aren't like concerned, like having meetings with you about how to get this channel popping, they're just paying you like boatloads
How
of
long was
cash.
he alleged to have been paid by Russia?
It's like
So he was
8 months,
signed
isn't it?
after, because I was on the Culture War show
Mhm.
before Tim sold it, like that Emma Vigeland episode.
So this is like 6 months.
Yeah, I could actually look up the date of that because they were actually talking about the negotiation while I was there. So
Oh, while you were at doing the Emma Vigeland show with Tim,
yeah,
the Culture War podcast.
Oh, another connection from Sean.
I'm gonna
here,
add an
Sean
extra
Fitzgerald.
10% on this because like in favor of Tim Pool if it's only a few months because like he could realistically be like, okay, well we didn't investigate that much because we're making like $20,000 an episode on Timcast.
That's
This is not that much money to us.
$500,000 a month right there. That $25,000 an episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Well,
that's
hasn't Tenet
some
Media's only been
serious
around
money.
for like a year or less?
yeah. I don't think Tenet Media had even. I'm not sure if it had launched yet. But
Well, okay,
my
if I go to the
YouTube
YouTube
thing is
channel,
saying like a year ago for
if I go
the.
to their YouTube channel and I click on videos and I go to oldest, their oldest video is 10 months ago. Tim is in the thumbnail and it says Tenet Media, uncensored, unapologetic, unafraid.
Yeah, it hadn't launched yet. So I was on
Right.
when they were like negotiating this. Let me look at I'm trying not to play the video in like June of 2023.
Mhm.
So like they had not had a deal. So his show did exist before. But I remember that's the first I heard of this like new media company that Lauren Chen was recruiting for.
Okay, so essentially Tim had he had the Culture War podcast and he basically sold Tenet Media the rights
Yeah,
for the
to
Culture
share
War
it.
podcast. Okay. Well, was it exclusive? Did he still play the Culture War podcast on any of his other channels?
I think he might have done clips, but I'm not 100. Like listen, I make too many
Mhm.
videos. I don't fucking have time to watch everybody else's shit. So
How dare you?
But you
know.
watch our live streams, right?
I caught your stream because I was editing and uploading a video.
Oh, okay.
No, Sean's right not to do that. I watch everybody's shit and it causes me to release content way slower than I should.
Yeah. But like, yeah, so like they were negotiating before, like obviously Tim was aware of the negotiation, but everybody on the staff for the Culture War, they're all Tim's staff. Like I know his booker, like she's actually a good friend of mine. Like she worked for Tim. She didn't work for, like Tenet.
Who does the negotiations? Was Tim involved?
I'm
Best
sure he was
guess.
involved. If it's like one of his shows, it's his company.
Right, yeah.
Shame, Tim.
He doesn't have all the he doesn't have someone that comes in and negotiates
He
deals
probably
for
has
him.
lawyers. I mean, the guy makes
Yeah,
a
that
ton
look
of
over the
money.
contracts, but he negotiates the broad strokes of the contract.
Yeah, but like again, it's like a licensing deal, and like the deal from Tenet was like, if you notice, people are allowed to post on their own channels. Like they're free to do all these different events. It seems like a very like creator focused kind of deal. So like
Right.
I get why people would be like lured into that. I mean, Dave Rubin, like if you look at his content on Tenet, like all the money that he got paid for like 1,000 view live streams, like
He
it's
made bank. Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of great. And he like like from what I could see, he phoned it in for whatever they paid him and then just made his like better content on his own channel.
That's I mean that's what a lot of creators would do. It's like I don't know why you'd if you want people to do hard work, I don't know why you would pay them a ridiculous amount of money because what tends to happen with YouTubers is as soon as they get paid, that's when they get lazy.
But that's
With
the
the
thing. It's like it was pitched again by Lauren Chen, who is a creator as a creator focused network. So like that's why people were, they didn't have like such it didn't seem like they had such rigid content restrictions. If you look at the pattern of who's releasing videos, it's all over the place.
Do you have any guess on whether you think she is working with the State Department or Justice Department, I should say?
Who?
Lauren Chen.
I don't know. Like honestly, I hope this turns out to not be true. Again, I do like
Mhm.
care about them, and it's very unfortunate. It's like you're like you've earned like a position of trust over years. Like, and again, like that includes with me, and then like this kind of thing comes out, it's pretty disastrous.
Sure, of course.
Like no matter what, whether they face criminal charges, which would be, obviously horrific, or they don't, reputationally, it's like you can't recover for something like this. Especially if it comes out you did know and then you misled the people that you were signing. Like who can do business with
Right.
you?
What do you think she'll do after this?
I don't know.
No,
It
there's
does
so many
suck.
routes you can go with this stuff, especially if you have connections. Like I don't think this would be the end of her career. I doubt that.
I mean,
To your point, Adam, that producer thing from the indictment where they were asked to like share something,
yeah.
that's for the Twitter account. Like I
So
tracked
it
that down.
is. Okay.
Yeah, but it was
Gotcha.
just the Twitter account. Because remember, the creators are called commentators. Lauren and Liam are called founders, and producers are producers. So that was for the Twitter account. And there is a post from February 16th from the Tenet Media Twitter account. It's that stupid Tucker Carlson, oh, groceries are so affordable in
Right. Yeah, that was
yeah.
ridiculous.
Even though, by the way, when you do the math, first of all, the
They're
fact that they
super
thought
expensive. Yeah.
yeah, the fact that they thought that shit cost $400 in a United States grocery store is fucking crazy. But even with their conversion, it was like a quarter of the Russian like income
Yep.
pre-tax.
Right.
Like
Yep.
is maybe one of the most retarded posts of all time when you like look into any detail of it.
That's worse than California food prices.
Yeah. But yeah,
It's not that bad.
it's unfortunate, and I've messaged some of my friends that are on the creator side, like they didn't know anything. Again, one of them quite literally like refused a contract from Russia Today proper years before the Ukraine war.
Who is this? Why aren't you saying just because
Because I don't know if
mean,
it's public, I don't know if they're gonna put something out in a statement, but
yeah,
I
that's
like know
fair. That's
I know
fair.
other people that are producers. I know like creators, there's like everybody thinks of the big names, but there's like smaller name people that this was their big break. And like that it's really shitty for them. Like everybody's focusing on Tim Pool, Tim Pool, Tim Pool. Meanwhile, like his like Ukraine takes, like he had all that shit before.
So
Like
do
remember
you
in the Emma
buy
shit, I was in the Emma podcast, I was arguing with him about Ukraine.
so do you buy Sitch's idea that the goal was to use these big content creators to develop a network of creators and then start subbing in smaller creators that you have more control over?
No. So the way that do you guys remember Russia Today?
I do, yeah, totally.
So you
Sure.
remember they would have like Jesse Ventura, Ron Paul, Ed Schultz, and like all these different people from across the political spectrum.
Yeah, they
Mhm.
tried to pitch it as, neutral and light and centrist type stuff.
Yeah, but like all of them were like, like American skeptical, NATO skeptical, and all that. Like Russia Today and like the Russian influence campaigns, they don't pay people to change their minds. They find people who already agree with them and then amplify them.
Yeah, it
And if
seems
you
like the smart way to go about that.
Yeah, and if you read the indictment, it says clearly like they were picking people because they don't only care about foreign policy. Like a bunch of these creators never talk about foreign policy. Like Matt Christensen doesn't. But they're like, "Oh, but if you talk about culture war stuff a lot, then we like that because that's like divisive for America. If
Yep.
you're talking about the gays and the transes and all that all the time, they're like they like that kind of thing. So you don't even have to be pro Russia to be picked up by one of these campaigns. Remember those Facebook ads that they were running, a lot of them were Black Lives Matter ads, and they would run Black Lives Matter ads in places, for people who were very pro police. Like,
Well,
just because they were just trying to agitate people.
the reason that the reason I think that my theory here is correct is that even with RT, is all these people that they picked up for Tenet, they all had their own YouTube channels. They all were making their own content. So to me, it doesn't make sense that they're like, well, we just want these people to keep producing content because they're going to keep producing content regardless of whether Tenet Media exists or not. So that's why to me, it seems more clear that they want to use pre-existing names to build up a media channel that then they could use for, their own purposes, sub out the big names for, smaller content creators or even literal Russian, agents.
It
Well,
is the manufacturing consent.
Sure, you could do that, but you have to also remember, like, yeah, they're all producing content, but like, not a lot of them have like marketing behind them. Like the Daily Wires, like the Daily Wire turned Brett Cooper into a star overnight. Like the way that they did that is they paid for a bunch of fucking ads. So
Yeah, it
like,
makes sense. She got like 1 million subscribers in like a month.
yeah, like that. So
Yeah.
like Matt Christensen is a great
Mhm.
guy, does great content and all that. But like Matt Christensen, if you looked at his channel, it was like flattened by the algorithm. But like if you wanted to elevate his views, you put some money behind him, you start advertising him, maybe on a new channel. And like that's the way to do it. And like again, there's no indication of any kind of editorial control over any of the creators because they didn't need to. Like you're picking creators that already align with what you want.
I would agree with that if Tenet Media was actually successful. The fact that they were so not successful and all those creators did much better on their own channels makes me think that
Yeah, but
that
it's
wasn't the case.
starting out. Fox News lost money for the first 5 years. Then it
Are
became
they
like a
are they
cable empire.
reposting content? So it's like if Tim Pool runs a Culture War episode, does it appear on his channel and the Tenet Media channel?
The Culture War only streams on the Tenet Media channel.
Okay, that's a little strange then that they would have such low views because they're literally getting like 10,000 views a video on a 300,000 subscriber channel. That's pretty low.
Yeah, I mean, well, there's also like you do YouTube. If you change like topics too much, your views might go down. These people are changing creators, so if you subscribe for creator X and then the next 5 videos are a different creator,
That's a good
Right.
point. Yeah.
Yeah.
like I don't like if you want to watch Matt Christensen, Benny Johnson and Dave Rubin aren't a substitute.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that was a problem. It was kind of a doomed project from the beginning because of that.
I like that Benny Johnson's like I left Tenet forever ago, and there's like literally a video that was uploaded
Today
of
or
him on
yesterday.
Tenet 10 minutes before he tweeted that shit out. Like it's like the
Yeah, wait.
last upload.
He said that. He said that he left them.
Yeah.
Maybe
The
he was
only
still
one
under
who left
contract.
is Dave Rubin, by the way. Like they didn't renew his contract.
Because they're paying him out the butt and he wasn't doing any, he wasn't getting any views.
As
That's
kind of views
hilarious.
as you get.
Yeah,
The
but
Dave
I
Off,
mean, like
whatever.
again, Tim's thing doesn't do anywhere near as well as it would on his own channel. But even if you're building a business, you're trying to take a loss up front in order to build audience. So like the numbers don't look great now, but it's like a new channel.
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah,
maybe, but
of
typically those channels
course.
don't pick up because the people who run them don't understand how media works. It's not like a soap company or something like that where you get like a certain number of subscribers and people already like the soap and the product is the soap, not the person on screen.
Well, obviously the Russians were overpaying Lauren Chen because they weren't really producing this content very well, I guess.
Well, Lauren didn't produce anything for Tenet. Chen, like
Well, no, I think it said in the indictment that she got the producers who were who were doing the producing, didn't she?
No, I'm saying, but she didn't produce any content for for Tenet. It was on her own thing. If you look at the structure of the company, her husband was listed as the CEO.
Oh, okay, or her husband, or whoever,
Right.
right? The family. Yeah, because I'm looking
But-
at like if you go to Tenet and you look at on the playlist the Dave Rubin stuff, I mean, his top videos are getting like 7,000 views, 3,000 views.
Yeah, for
Really?
sure.
He's
But
getting,
again, like when you're playing with Russian funny money, like,
I guess they don't care. Well, it depends what their goal is exactly.
But
Whether they care
this
or
is
not.
also like they do this, like you see like BuzzFeed laying off a bunch of people or Vice laying off a bunch of people. It's like they put all this money into all these different things because they
Mhm.
have like investors. And I understand that this is like clearly allegedly like not a real business. Like it is a Russian front. But like even in the business world, the reason this wouldn't look unusual is because this is how they typically do it. Like they start off by paying for all this content. They're trying to build audience at this point in time, and then like hopefully in the future it makes money. I mean, that's how the Blaze did it. And the Blaze didn't become profitable. They had their billionaire investor dried up and then like refused to put in, and then they had to they hired a new CEO who actually made it a real company.
Do people at the Blaze actually get views who aren't Glenn Beck and Crowder? Well, Crowder doesn't work with them anymore, but like as far as I'm aware, like none of them really get any good views.
Yeah, I honestly I haven't watched any Blaze stuff. I mean, there's like all kinds of controversy there.
Yeah, there's quite a lot.
All my Blaze connections dried up when Sydney quit, because that was like the only Blaze show I could get invited on. When Sydney quit and Elijah,
Yeah, he's
had
kind
Became
of
insane.
he's kind of a big alcoholic.
yeah, he had a personal well, actually I don't know, a personal possibly criminal situation.
I
Cough,
heard he had
cough.
I heard he had a couple of those.
Yeah.
Is that why
But
he hates Jews now?
and the only other person that I knew a little bit, but like not like that, was Sarah Gonzalez, and I had been on her show. So, but I don't know how any of these people will make money. The Blaze has like 25 podcasts that cover the same topic.
Yeah, it seems like a bad strategy. It's got to be the only person who's making money off of that is Glenn Beck from his TV subscribers from when he was on, whatever show he was on a bunch of years ago.
From Fox, yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I'm hoping that a lot of this isn't true, but I think the one thing that I do want to be true is the fact that supposedly the Russians paid $318,000 for an iPhone Pro Max 15, but it was only 512 gigabytes.
What a ripoff! Oh
What
my
a
God.
ripoff.
They couldn't
That's
even get the 1
completely dumb.
terabyte. Did you
That's
not see
everybody
that?
these days. Like everybody's overpaying for data on
Should
phones.
be able to make calls from space for that amount of
Mhm.
money. Jesus.
Yeah, but did you not see that in the indictment? That is the most
I saw you tweet about it. I know. Very
yes.
important.
I
element
quote
of
tweeted. It's the most important thing,
Right.
page 28.
Are people suggesting that it's money laundering?
Possibly.
Now everybody's saying that about the new movies and stuff like that, where they're spending $200 million on movies that look like they paid $5 million for them.
Right.
And they're really
I mean, people were
selling
saying about
drugs.
Avatar because that was super weird. Like they made so much money in like Eastern Europe or something. And people were like, it's interesting.
The second one, the
second
water
one,
one,
yeah. The
that
water
one wasn't
one.
a bad movie. I could see people watching that.
In Eastern Europe, they don't care about water. They don't even have water there. What are
They
you
have
talking
water
about?
there.
No.
Oh.
It made money in Eastern Europe, not in China.
Yeah, I figured it'd be China and America.
No, I think that I remember when we're talking about this. It made an unusually high amount of returns proportionally in Eastern Europe in a way that was kind of suspicious. Kid Truck 91 for $20 says, "Watch out, guys! I've heard there's a Russian by the name of Jadimir Maklashnikov buying moderates to lobby for free will. Seriously, though, I'm glad to have been able to see and recognize Tim going the unhinged grifter route." Well, there you go. JMac is really potentially the secret Russian sugar daddy. So,
By the way, Hunter
Not a
Avalon,
chance.
I just looked on Twitter. He's taking a
Mhm.
victory lap for calling out Lauren Chen. He's like, I'm vindicated. I'm pretty sure when he called her out, it was before she even worked for Russia Today. So
what did he accuse her of?
whatever the fuck that I don't know.
Okay,
But I'm
No,
just saying,
had,
like
he knew
his
he had insider information.
he knew. All right,
Yeah.
he knew. He could sense it.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm hoping that it's not true, but they have these Discord messages and
I mean, it
The Google
seems-
searches.
We'll say, yeah.
Was that the guy
How-
who hid
how
behind
did
his
they get the
girlfriend as he
Google
got shot
searches?
at? Or was that somebody else?
What?
He did get shot at. I think the hid behind his girlfriend thing is a little
Oh yeah, someone shot at Hunter.
I
I
think
forgot
that's a
about
little
that. Yeah.
sketch. And I'm not somebody who's gotten along with Hunter, but I think it's kind of fucked up the way that people are like somebody comes to murder him in his home and then like blows his brains out in his hallway. And people are like, you hid like a bitch.
He should have read The Murderer Next Door.
That's
Uh,
true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we were supposed to talk about that.
What a
No,
transition.
I know.
I
That was
remember when they looked up the that story and they printed like Hunter had to move after that. They printed his address in the paper.
Mhm.
So Tim looked it up and he's like, "This is near our coffee shop. He should come by for coffee."
Jesus.
But yeah, no, it looks really bad. But I do want to emphasize like a lot of these creators didn't know, and it's not for like lack of due diligence on all of their parts. Like some of them clearly lack of due diligence, but it's also like it's not an unbelievable story that a new conservative media startup would be founded by a billionaire.
Right.
That wouldn't be the
Right.
first time that's happened.
Yeah.
But I would
And
think like someone
Trying
like
to hide their
you have like
identity
lots
though
of
and not meet any of the creators.
yeah. If you have lots of money though, like it's a little suspicious. If you're like a small creator with like 100,000 or less subscribers, or maybe up to 200,000, like I could easily believe that you didn't know. But it just seems like if you're pulling in as much money as Tim does, you feel like you would want to investigate people more.
right. Well,
You
but it's also
should.
like if you've known somebody like I think they've known like Lauren Chen since 2015, maybe like before I knew her. So if you've known somebody for years, they've always been good to you. You've been on their show a bunch of different times and all that before any of this. And then they present to you this offer from like a media company, you hash it out, you ask who's funding it, and then they present you this like billionaire like person, and then they give you again according to the indictment like a fake bio like of this person. Like and again like a bunch of these like people think of billionaires like Elon Musk or Mark Cuban or like people we know. There's way more of them that you would never hear of that like deliberately don't get photographed
Yeah.
and all
I,
that. Like
I I'm certainly, if I was making that much money, I would not want to be
yeah.
famous.
And then, like, you know, now, granted, you could say maybe don't take the money if you don't recognize the billionaire that's behind it.
But
Like,
that's
that's
sort of,
fair.
that's probably what I would do in that case. Is I just wouldn't take the money if I don't know where it's coming from. I would just say it's a lot easier to say no when you're not making any money from it in the first place than it is if you've already gotten $100,000.
But this is not this to be clear, this is not an Ian Miles like Chong situation, according to the indictment. So I know people who have been like offered a job at Ketchup, Ian Miles Chong's outlet that you know he uses to hide that he steals everybody's videos. And like when they got through the thing,
I love the slander there, or not slander. It's technically not slander, but I love the Ian Miles Strong hate.
yeah, but when they got through the process at Ketchup, they were literally working for RT. Like it wasn't it like they were like it was right up front that like that was just a subsidiary of Russia Today. So here it appears to be like obscured.
Right.
Like and yes, Ian
Okay.
Miles Chung steals those videos. Like who are we kidding? I mean, come on.
I don't
Like
know how many
literally
times
when
that
he
guy has
posts
to get
something,
exposed before people stop listening to him.
when he posts something, I will look for the video and like find the original and make sure I repost the original and not his. Or at least an earlier upload. It could be from another thief. Like, and I'll be like, whatever.
Ian Miles Chong's ability to be like the parasite that keeps latching on to bigger people is actually incredible
Yeah,
and
he's really good at it.
amazing. I mean, yeah, he's really good at it. He's stealing content. He's working for RT. He's doxing Andy Worski, or not doxing, swatting Andy Worski, possibly getting dogs killed. And now he's latched on to Elon Musk, who for some reason tolerates his retarded ass. So there you go.
Somebody's like, I'm running cover for Tim. Like, I don't understand this. Like, I've done Tim's show 2-3 times. Um, like I don't know the guy. I don't have his personal phone number. He doesn't even follow me on Twitter. That absolute monster. But like
Wow, what a jerk.
Yeah.
there are people that I like there are people that I
A-hole.
care about way more than Tim that are like involved in this. Like I know Taylor Hansen, and he's the guy who filmed Ashley Babbitt getting shot, and he couldn't support his own content before Tenet Media. Like I feel 1,000 times worse for him that this might blow up in his face than I do for Tim, who's gonna, you know, like it's literally gonna fucking he's gonna be fine. Like worst case scenario, he'll
Mhm.
move the culture war back to, back to his own channel, and he'll make like fucking $40,000 an episode.
Right. Well, I mean,
Um,
you agree that Tim and Dave Rubin were highly irresponsible with getting into this contract in the first place.
Well, I mean, I have to look at the deal and like see what was disclosed. I mean, again, the indictment doesn't allege that they were deceived. Like, and you
Right, but
would
I'm saying
think,
like if you get sent this kind of fake profile and you're going to get paid millions of dollars, I mean, I would feel like I would do some research on this person, and
Yeah,
if
but
it's
if you
not
could-
coming
you
up
could just
nothing, I'd
hire
be
a
like,
private
oh, this is kind of
investigator.
suspect.
but if
But
you look this person up, right,
Yeah.
and then you
Mhm.
can't find anything, but he's one of these like anonymous billionaires, like,
No, but he
Yeah.
said no.
Yeah, you
It said
pay
he worked for a bank specifically. You could try to get in contact
you
with
pay
his bank
$1,000 to a private investigator and deal with that way.
I mean,
or do that. Yeah.
look, I mean,
Like
fair
these
enough.
things aren't that difficult.
Yeah, but like when ultra wealthy people don't try to become public facing, like they do a good job at it. Like
No,
again, I
I'm just saying
remember.
like when you
This is a conversation you
wait.
do when you're talking yourself into taking the money.
I'm just saying when you put some like a source on your resume and you give it to the boss, to work for a job, and the boss picks up the phone and they call that source to see if you work for the thing. I mean,
Right.
it's
Yeah, you
Right.
could
I don't
call
know.
the
It's just
bank.
pretty standard to me, but whatever.
Yeah, look,
I could be more forgiving of the people that were not like, all the other people that were not making the millions of dollars. Like, if I was, at our side, someone's like, oh, you want to, we'll pay you like 10 grand to do some show. I'd be like, okay. Like, I
listen,
wouldn't think it was
there is
crazy
a
if I'm not getting
chance.
paid like some massive amount of money.
There is a chance that if they were throwing like crazy cash and like they had offered me a deal, I would have signed this. So like I can see myself in that position
Right.
taking that. And I would not willingly work for the Russians. So
Well,
like,
obviously, sure.
you
Sure.
know, and I would not want to like burn my reputation on that. But like I also want to buy a house. So there's a chance that I would have signed if they would have given me a good number. So
A
like
house in New York City? Oh my
yeah,
God.
exactly. Well, exactly. I make a
Impossible.
good living now. Like, so they would have had to give me a really good number.
Right.
I would have
Right.
got more than 1,000 views per stream like Dave Rubin. Like, just break
He's
me
like,
off.
I would need $300,000.
There
That's
you
not
go.
going to buy you a house in New York, though.
Yeah, that's
No,
why I
this is
was
what you
like,
do.
You need
That's why I
a
was like,
million.
Per video.
No, that's
I
what
was-
you do. You get the offer, okay, and they give you the little CV with the bank guy, and you do an investigation. You find out this guy doesn't exist, and you go, okay, now triple the offer because I know this is bullshit.
I mean,
I know this is a fake
I was
guy.
like, damn, I'm like $100,000 per episode. I'll do it for 50. You know what? 25, like negotiate against myself.
No, okay. There you
But it
go,
wasn't,
guys.
it
That's
wasn't,
how you
Russia,
get $5,000.
buy off Sean for 20.
it's not per video. Like I would take that per video with like, I produce almost 2 videos a day. Like, although
Right.
not really, but like I
Mhm.
would take that per video, but it's like per episode of the Culture War podcast, which they distribute on all these podcasting networks and all that. So it's not
Right.
just like, video clip, you give me 100 grand. That would be amazing.
Right.
Like if you got that deal, then you have to be like, this is fucking like it doesn't even have to be Russians. Like this has to be some kind of criminal shit. If you could clip your podcast and post those clips, and your
Well,
name
each
isn't,
clip, yeah, sure, that'd be
yeah, your name
ridiculous,
isn't
but-
Joe Rogan, then yeah.
Right.
But like for the money aspect of it, if he was making on his main Timcast IRL show $25,000 per episode when Adam Krigler was there 4 years ago, then like you add in 4 years of memberships, 4 years of building up audience and all that. Like that's like I'm not surprised by that being the rate for one of his podcasts.
I mean, I guess I'm not surprised by that being the rate. I'm just surprised by the lack of curiosity, especially when the media channel doesn't go anywhere.
Well, you
After
guys do a
6
weekly
months.
Sunday stream. You guys don't if you do 40 of them a year, you don't make a $4 million?
No, no, sadly
God,
we
I
don't.
wish.
We don't make $4 million. No, I wish.
Don't believe them. They're lying. They make
I
tons of
know.
money. They just said earlier that they were the top streamers.
It's true.
One day,
Were you guys top for raw number of super chats or
one
dollar?
day in politics, in the politics
Because those
section.
could all be $2 super chats, and Tim could get half as many, but they're all $50
Well,
ones.
it was for the amount, but I believe Tim's not on this list, so I think that's the only reason why we're at the top. Because I can't imagine we beat Tim on any
Yeah,
stuff.
especially if it was yesterday. Like Tim,
Yeah.
they're fucking flooding in the super chats. To
Yeah,
ask him.
that's I'm kind of sus of this whole list here, but
They
listen,
pay
good to be at the
Tim
top.
so much fucking money in super chats
I know.
And he doesn't
doesn't
even
read
read.
them.
He reads 2, maybe.
It's terrible.
That's the great grift.
It is
Yep.
terrible.
People were super chatting him in tons of money during the Jack Murphy thing. They were super chatting like $50 to $100 super chats to shit on him for that. So
Yeah.
he got paid for that shit.
It's pretty funny.
I remember he was doing a Culture War podcast, the one with all the women on it. And I super chatted a joke. I'm like, what in the world? Like it was like, what in the world are these bitches babbling about? And then I said that this conversation made me gay, right? So
Mhm.
to close out his fucking podcast, of all the super chats to read, he reads that one.
The one that you admitted to being gay.
I think it makes the audience gay. I don't remember exactly, but that's the one that he reads. I put like $5. I saw a bunch of $50 ones. First of all, I sent that super chat and I left. I got a DM from somebody telling me that he read that at the end of it.
Well, probably because you're also a YouTuber. You're gonna get
Right.
a little bit more favorable trade.
Yeah, but still for five, like it's for $5.
He saw
Yeah,
your
but
name and thought it was something
you're
important.
$5 and several 100,000 subscribers. So
Yeah.
Then he
people are
read
gonna
it and said,
prioritize
"Oh,
people.
no."
I mean, but Tim is like way like larger. Honestly, I will say the one thing I learned from Tim, and it was in that whole Adam Krigler like thing, is that if you just make videos, you're going to be fine. Like if you just
basically,
increase your workload, like that's why him, the quartering, and like all these people who produce like 600 videos like a day, like those guys are raking it in while Sitch is talking shit about them behind their back.
that's
Yes.
basically the
Wait,
solution to everything. As
I'm
long as you get
talking
people, you flood in content, people will forget about everything.
I'm talking shit to these people in front of an audience. It's not behind anyone's back. What are you talking about?
No. Yeah,
Uh,
by the way, I'm looking, it says it right here that their RT's goal was to malign, like do these malign influence campaigns. Like it doesn't have to be Ukraine or Russia specific. It's just, anything that they think will hurt the West. Like, they were pro Brexit,
of
not
course.
because they were pro UK nationalism, but because they wanted to weaken the European Union.
Right. Okay, well, is there anything else, Sean? Gotta get
Yeah.
see, since we're like the #1 super chatted
I know.
stream,
We got to get
we gotta
moving,
get through our
guys.
super chats.
Look,
Yeah.
That's
go.
why I came on the showgram.
Right.
Yeah, no, it's I'm just gonna say it is unfortunate. Obviously, like I'm hoping for like a positive resolution for both
Right.
Lauren and Liam. I feel horrible for the creators that like got suckered into this and then deal with the reputational damage, but more so the people who like could not get jobs or could not support themselves with their content. And like when the Tenet thing goes away, like they're gonna be totally screwed.
Mm-hmm.
So like, Tim's gonna be fine. Dave Rubin, he already left Tenet, so he's gonna be fine. Benny Johnson's gonna be fine. Like all these people are,
If they study media and learn how to create content, nobody's gonna care.
yeah. But I'm saying there are like some people who aren't like, Taylor Hanson got a ton of shit because he filmed the Ashley Babbitt thing. And he had even though he's like an independent journalist, like he got a bunch of shit for being in the Capitol filming because he didn't have a media organization to give him a press pass. Like
Mm-hmm.
other people that like were
Well, it was
affiliated
during a
with
riot, so I don't know if it would have mattered, but
And didn't he
Well,
say he had a knife?
other people that were affiliated with the Blaze, like that were more encouraging of the rioters,
Mhm.
were fine because technically the Blaze has capital
Really?
credentials. Yeah.
Wait, that's not the no. Wait, that he's not the knife guy, is he? I thought the knife guy was someone else.
I don't know if Taylor had a knife. I don't.
He's not. No, there was a guy who
He's
I
the one
thought
that filled
was.
Ashley Babbitt getting shot.
I thought there was 2 people that filmed Ashley Babbitt.
Yeah, he's one of the.
Okay. Maybe he's not the one with the knife.
Because there was a guy who was like a left-wing guy who was pretending to be a right-wing guy at the protests, and he got one of the footage of Ashley Babbitt getting shot.
Right.
I don't know. I'm assuming that's not the guy that you're talking about.
Yeah, he wouldn't be hired at Tenet.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Did you guys figure out which one all the commentators are yet?
So my understanding is commentator 1 is Dave Rubin, Tim is commentator 2, and I think Benny Johnson is maybe commentator 3, but it's unclear.
I'll give you a hint. The one where they say she and her.
Well, that's obviously Lawrence Sullivan. She was
That's
she
a
was commentator
girl.
4. Yeah. So right.
Did they give it away with the pronouns? That's funny.
They did for Lauren because she's the only girl there.
They should have
she's
used
she's
they
the only
them,
girl in the
right?
Did they
six.
ask? Yeah.
Right.
They should learn just to not specify use they them. It's gender neutral.
My favorite part about reading the indictment is that for commentator 4, it says that she was asked to submit raw video from her documentary, but she did not do so. So then I sent her a message and I'm like, yo, the fucking DOJ says you're a shit employee.
QB Madra for 250p says, I know this might be old news, but while Sean is here, could Sitch and Adam give their take on the whole debacle with Destiny and Actual Justice Warrior where Destiny claimed Sean to be dishonest? I mean, I can't really give my take because I honestly don't know enough about it. So all I know is that Sean is probably a dirty, dirty, dishonest person. So
yeah, that one pissed me off because they claimed that I made up a quote when I like said something that was actually very similar, almost identical to what Letitia James said. I just thought it was Alvin Bragg. And then I pointed this out in my video, and then they're like, oh, well, that doesn't matter. But it's like, no, you said I lied, not that I was wrong. If you said I was wrong, it would be no big deal. But you're like, you made up a quote. Like,
Welcome to media. Like you get people accuse everybody of lying just for being wrong.
Are you accusing them of being dishonest, Sean?
I don't know. I know that the whole it's like, this is why it's confusing.
I don't even care. Like it's like when you realize when like you have all these people like replying to you and then retweeting their own replies that they're more interested in the attention than than the actual thing.
Yes.
And like I did a video where I acknowledge, and there's somebody who says he misattributed it to somebody, aka lied in the chat. It's like, okay, there's a difference between making something up out of nowhere and confusing one New York prosecutor that went after Trump with another New York prosecutor that went after Trump.
Yeah.
Was it? Yeah.
Like it was
Letitia
James, a Letitia James statement that I confused for an Alvin Bragg one.
Mm-hmm.
And you corrected the error, so who cares?
But actually, that was just a virtue signal. I don't know. Like I've never really had a problem with like Destiny, like specifically, but I've encountered a number of situations where like he gives me like the worst reading on something. Like there was an example.
Oh, really? Oh, he's usually so good faith in that department. I'm surprised.
To give you an
totally
example,
shocked.
I was on this debate thing where they had a guy who was like full election conspiracy person. And, you know, I got a lot of shit for like 2 days after the election when I saw the mail-in votes coming in. And I was like, this is over. Like, Trump is going to lose. And like, there's no fucking way he's going to win this in the courts. And you're crazy. So like, I'm not that like crazy election person. But like he had said that I was. And then I pointed out like in the debate, I told the guy, because, you know, he's like, do you really believe 81 million people voted? Or do you really believe Joe Biden got more votes than Obama? And I'm like, just based on population, that's wrong. So I play that clip in my video, and then he reacts to the video, and he's like, "Oh, he's trying to delegitimize Biden by saying he got more votes because of population." So it's like he accuses me of delegitimizing Biden, and then I'm like, "No, here's an exact point in the conversation where I did the opposite live on stage." Right fucking next to you. And he's like, actually, this is double delegitimizing. And I'm like, what the fuck is like the fuck is wrong with this person?
Yeah, the logic doesn't add up.
I don't know if I've ever heard you talk about it. You don't defend the fake elector scheme, right?
No. And by the way, the Biden thing, like people who say, "Oh, you really believe 81 million people came out to vote for Biden?" The answer is no. They mailed in their ballots.
Yeah, totally.
That's the point of mail-in ballots.
Got him.
Like,
that is true.
Came out. Nobody comes out to vote.
Yeah, so I don't know. I never had like I don't know. I don't feel like I go out of my way to be like rude and unkind to Steven, but like I get like weird readings. I don't even know if it's intentional, but you know.
Okay. Well, thanks for coming on, everybody. Gotta kick you all off, I guess.
Yeah.
Sean and both Sean. Well, first of all, to original Sean. Sorry, we originally shot the thing before you sleep was supposed to come on and talk about the murder next door, and then this story broke, so that all got shuttled. So I guess we can talk about that. I don't know, maybe next week or sometime later.
It's some other time. I don't really mind.
Right.
Yeah,
this stuff is a lot more juicy.
It is much more juicy.
Big.
And then,
I would definitely have switched topics for this.
And then thank you, extra crispy Sean, for jumping on too.
Yeah,
given your take. So
Yeah, thanks for
gotta-
giving us the insight, Sean, because you know a lot of these people and have interacted with them behind the scenes. So this made it a lot more interesting.
Yeah, I got to make a video breaking this down. I'm not happy about it.
Oh, I know. That's got to be painful.
I mean, look, all I will say is for now, I'm like, I take some solace in at this moment in time, the only people being indicted are the Russians.
Yeah, I mean, I would not be surprised to see Lauren Chen indicted, though. So,
Did you? I don't know if you saw a Canadian rep for like I don't know if it's for their Justice Department or whatever.
no.
Um,
Oh no, they're gonna charge her in Canada too.
yeah, no, that's basically what this post said. Like they're here. I'll send
Oh
you.
my God,
I'll send you the tweet.
they're like, we'll take care of the Americans. You get the Canadian spy.
Yeah, they did a whole statement. I guess I'll send it to Sitch because I think I have the most recent message with him.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Oh, oh, oh.
What is this?
Are they gonna
there's like
extradite her
a
to the
Canadian
United States?
official. I don't know anything about Canadian government, so like
She lives in Canada, right?
no, she lives in this. Oh, you were asking
It-
how people figured it out.
Mhm.
They said a Tennessee-based media company that started up around this time
Oh,
with
okay.
like two founders. There's one there's like one Canadian-based media company that was hiring talent. It also they said they had 6 people on their website listed as talent, and it's like, yeah,
They pretty much pointed it out, right?
yeah. Well,
So
I'm
this
just
is-
saying it was pretty clear who it was. It's like the Crowder where he's like, I never said it was Daily Wire, but
Oh
like you
yeah.
look at the
Who else could it
contract.
be?
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, but Ben Shapiro works for this contractor.
Yeah, but it's like if you were Crowder back then, like you're leaving the Blaze and you have a non-disclosure with the Blaze. So it's definitely not the Blaze. Crowder can't work at Fox News because everybody hates him at Fox News. Like what other company could have hired him? Like
Young Turks.
well, I don't even know if they had that like 20 what was it? The
was like
$50 million dollars.
Yeah, he won like
but like
100 million.
it was literally only the Daily Wire that could have offered him like that kind of money. Not to mention he was blacking it out and it was like 2 letters and it's like DW. Like people could figure
Yeah,
this
that's
shit
shit,
out.
yeah.
you
Like,
know?
yeah,
No one knew.
redacted.
Yeah, it was nonsense. So this you sent me. This is from the
Oh,
Minister
also,
of Public
the-
Safety in Canada.
Yeah. Also,
Is it-
the Crowder contract had the number of ad reads and like the length of the podcast, and it's the same number of ad reads and length of the podcast for every thing.
Daily
By the way,
Wire,
that
yeah.
Canadian official, his full statement is below. You could read it.
Yeah, I'm not going to read the full statement, but the tweet says, "We
It's one
stand
page.
united with the United States on confronting Russia's aggression against democratic societies. Any Canadian aiding Russia to spread disinformation, criminal and covert activities, and corruption to undermine our sovereignty will face the full force of Canadian law."
Wow.
Ooh. All right.
Wow.
Well, don't run away to Canada. Okay, they're gonna come after you.
Go to Mexico instead.
There you go.
Oh, and
Run the
also
cartel.
Lauren's husband is Irish. And I always made fun of him for looking Persian. So
Wow.
you know.
Maybe he just told
You
you he was
started the
Irish.
rumor.
It was your fault.
That's
You
actually
started this shit.
listen,
I don't know how much does he drink? Does he wear like gold jewelry around his neck?
No, he doesn't do that. No, he does look like one of the most ambiguous people of all time. But I might have actually started the rumor because I would super chat that he's like the most Persian looking man that like ever Persianed.
Wow. That would be hilarious if you started it. Anyway, thanks for coming on, guys.
Yeah, take
Get the
care, you
fuck outta
guys.
here.
Thanks for having me.
Talk to you later.
It was good to confer.
We're
with
trying
a
to
fellow
to
Sean.
wrap up.
Yep. Love you
All right.
both.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, look at this. Back to
Yes.
business.
Back to business. Well, that was fun. That was interesting.
Hell yeah.
Who knew this was going to happen?
Things are
yesterday?
heating up. I know.
I know. Look at this. Crazy.
A little respite
Okay.
from election news. I can't believe Trump is definitely going to weigh in on this, right?
No way. No way. You know, it's funny too, because like I think Nate Silver switched. Now he's given Trump the Trump is in the winning slot. now too in the election. So
He switched or the poll switched? I
the
mean,
poll switched.
yeah,
The poll. Well,
exactly.
Nate is saying the poll switched, obviously,
Right.
but or
Nate
his
Silver
way of
isn't
looking at the
picking the
polls.
winners.
Right. Right. Yeah. So and it's interesting because it showed a pretty dramatic switch from Kamala like riding high to all of a sudden switching back to Trump. But anyway,
Trump is just way better at retail politics. I mean, I saw he did that. He did some sort of town hall and he was talking to Pennsylvania voters and basically saying, look, she's going to ban fracking. Half the money in your state comes from fracking. You got to vote for me.
mm-hmm.
It's just that is the retail politics, right? This is going to affect you if you vote for her.
Well, I wonder if it was people switching or just the idea that like when Kamala first gets tapped, people are so excited about it that they're far more likely to answer these polls, and so it kind of skews the numbers.
Right. Yeah, they're excited. The honeymoon from the DNC is over and they're like, oh, I got to talk to somebody. Who am I going to talk to? Oh, it's a pollster. Right.
And next week, the first debate, so that's going to be fun.
Tuesday, right?
Yep.
Oh,
I
it's
don't know,
gonna
the
be
10th. I don't know what day that is.
Tuesday.
Okay, then that's a
I
Tuesday.
got it marked on my calendar. You don't. Come on, I'm going to wake up bright and early.
Okay. Even though it's at night, you're going to wake up bright and early, excited
I am.
for the debate day.
Big smile on my face.
Okay.
It's going to be great.
Apparently, I'm reading an article from Time Magazine. It says the end result is that the microphones will be muted.
Really? They didn't even they didn't even get the request.
Right. So there you go.
So that everyone anticipates that being in Trump's favor. I'm disappointed because I like the memes where he's like, wrong, you'd be in jail,
Exactly.
liar.
Exactly.
Come on, we want more Trump memes, right?
Okay. Messi 10-8 for $5 says, honestly, this is election shenanigans. I don't believe some kind of emoji I can't see. Word, they say these are manipulations, emoji to get us to turn on our own, and there is no nuance. I mean, I can't tell if it's like a meme super chat or not. These allegations seem pretty serious. So, and the fact that like Tim and their reactions were like, "Oh, we were victims," that makes me think that it's probably completely true. So,
yeah, it seems like it really happened.
Yeah.
And the fallout, I don't think is good for Russia.
No, I don't think it's going to have any impact on like the election or anything, but obviously makes Russia look extra shitty and stupid. And it's funny because like imagine if this came out with like Israel doing this, you'd see like all the anti-Israel people would be like celebrating, on Twitter, masturbating vigorously about, oh, the Jews are trying to control everyone.
Yeah.
I wonder if those people are going to say anything about this, but we'll see.
It's a weird situation because a lot of people are trying to denigrate the right's credibility. They're basically saying, oh, look at all these Trump supporters that are not credible. But if you look at it, I'm not sure that Putin wants Trump to be president.
I don't know what he wants. I have literally no clue what people want in that regard.
Well, Biden has fought Ukraine harder than anyone.
You would think, you would think that if the perception is Kamala is going to be the continuation of Biden's policy, why would he wouldn't want Kamala to be in charge?
Right.
You would think even if you don't believe the whole idea that Trump is like very easy to manipulate kind of stuff that, McMaster's and all these other people say, you would think that Putin would prefer the different person just because there'd be a different person means different things can happen. And the Republican Party at the moment is far more pushing for pulling out of wars and isolationism, where the Democrat Party is not pushing for that, at least in regards to the Ukraine-Russia situation. So it only makes logical sense for Putin to be kind of more in favor of Trump winning.
Right. Yes. So why would he want to destroy the credibility of all these people that support Trump? That doesn't make any sense.
Well, not intentionally. So obviously they didn't mean to get caught.
Right.
A very good horse for $5 says, think before you sleep, quote, rich people get really stupid with money, funding weird stuff. Unrelated note, I want to thank JMac for the first month of my channel membership. There you go. Dialogue always for $5. The actual one says, whatever your take is on this, can we all agree that Lauren Southern has the worst social awareness in history? LOL. I mean, yeah, she keeps ending up in groups of people that are not doing her any favors. So that definitely seems to be the case.
It's happened again, hasn't it?
Happened again. Kid Truck 91 $5 says the only reason I was subbed was the one per week Culture War podcast. Just ignored everything else. Yeah, I bet a lot of people were subbed probably for that reason specifically. So that would make sense why they would have some level of high subs and like just trash views comparatively.
The ones we watched were on Tim's channel. I didn't even know that he moved it to a different channel. So
yeah. Gene the Earring Penguin for $5 says everyone knows J-Mac is preparing the way for the Star Children. There you go. Yes.
Interesting.
Afro Fry Cook for $5 says here's some money for definitely not a Russian agent. Da Svidnia. There you go. I don't know how to say Russian, but thank you. Libertarian Sasquatch for $2 says Tim Pool Winter Soldier arc. There you go.
Ooh.
All Beef Hot Dog for $5 says Adam, I sent you a DM on Twitter regarding those schedule sheets you used to stay on task for my super chat the other day. Let me get the goods, my guy. There you go. Thank you.
Already sent. And somebody else DM'd me before you did, and I sent them a copy too. So
nice.
Yes. One day Sitch will ask for one.
For a schedule sheet?
Yeah. Do you keep a schedule?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. Gerard for $5 says 300,000 dead in Ukraine, mostly men. Who's going to protect the women and children from traffickers?
That's pretty sad.
I don't know. I don't know if that's really anything we're talking about. But Adam Robot for 20 months says, hey, meow. Every time I see a pregnant squirrel, I think of Adam. Hope you nerds are doing well. That has a lot of connotations to it. Every time you see a pregnant squirrel, you think of Adam.
Why? Probably because I have a squirrel friend who hangs out in my backyard. That's had several.
Is that what we're calling them? A squirrel friend?
Several litters of squirrels.
Wow, several litters. Wow, Adam. Okay.
Yeah. Wasn't my doing. Okay.
Oh, okay. The Dashing Rogue for $2 says down with the alt MSM. Long live the real alt media. There you go. True. Obviously us. Mega Mikey 75 for $5 says, hey, didn't Putin just come out and endorse Kamala the same day this indictment dropped, which both came out 60 days ahead of the 2024 election? He did. Putin did come out and endorse Kamala.
Did he really?
There's a clip of it. I mean, everyone's assuming it's like a troll. So.
Oh, okay.
Larsonius, thanks so much for joining the Free Will Seeker. Let's talk about prepping. Thank you for joining the Free Will Seekers. Ag Lahir for 22 months. Thank you. Says Sitch talking about people not being suspicious while accepting oodles of cash from this Daddy J-Mac person. There you go. It's true.
It is true.
Mike Hillier for 7 Canadian says Tim probably thought it was like when he was with Disney, big dollars for shows. Tim's show is the one that gets the views. Sure.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. Like Tim asking that amount could make complete sense. It's just, again, when it's been like 6 months, 8 months, 9 months, and this channel is floundering hardcore. And I mean, I'm not in the room there, but you think if they're not asking for a bunch of meetings with these content creators to try to like pick the channel off the fucking floor, that would be kind of suspect.
Well, that Culture War show was pretty big, and he's moving it directly from his channel to a different channel and not publishing it on his channel anymore. So, I mean, that is kind of you could see the value there.
Oh, yeah, no, that's why I said the original ask could make complete sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. But again, you should obviously investigate your business partners.
It's still so fucked up. It's so fucked up calling up Tim and saying, oh, yeah, look, I got a bunch of Russian money. What do you say you move your podcast over to my Russian-backed channel, which will completely destroy your credibility if anyone ever finds out about it. But don't worry, no one will ever find out about it.
Of course.
What is Moscow time right now?
Yeah, well, obviously, presumably, I mean, I understand that you're joking. People listening might think you're being serious. Obviously, that Lauren Chen or her husband didn't say didn't say to Tim that this was Russian-backed money.
No. Obviously, but that is actually what happened, and that's just completely screwed up.
Right.
Yeah, she didn't warn him or tell him. She kept him in the dark.
Presumably.
She played
Right.
him for
Yeah.
a fool, which is just horrible. It's totally horrible,
A rated
especially
horse for two.
someone you trusted.
Right. A rated horse for $10 says, so in your opinion, is them probably not knowing about the shadowy guy? Is them probably not knowing about the shadowy guy, or let's just say a conservative who gets paid by a progressive group to change his principles and argue with some internet moderates? What? So in your opinions, is them probably not knowing about the shadowy guy, or let's just say a conservative who gets paid by a progressive group to change his principles and argue with some internet moderates?
I think that last bit is aimed at Connor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Zool3060 for $20. Thanks so much. Says, how many pools could Tim Pool pull if Tim Pool could pool pools?
Pull
I would
pools.
say 5. 5 pools. Slack Lust for 10 Canadian says, remember when Brianna Wu was found out to be on the DNC payroll and was paying streamers to support the Dems? And during that time, she did streams with you guys.
Did
How
she?
did that all, was that all like, how did that all get found out? Was it like someone leaked it or was it just announced? How did all that come out?
I'm not sure. Yes.
I don't know the story there. I know that
So-
was part of why, you had, I believe, Aiden and Spoon, suggesting that maybe we were getting paid by Brianna Wu, which was hilarious. But
Look, you can go back and watch any of those streams, and I think we were we didn't take any shit from Brianna Wu. So,
no.
and she basically ran to Reddit and like turned on me relatively quickly, probably because we
Right.
didn't.
The Wu box.
I'm on fine terms with Brianna Wu. Like, she gets paid by the Democratic Party and pays other streamers. As
Mhm.
long as everyone knows about this and it's being disclosed, which it seems
Right.
like it is now.
Well, now it is. Yeah, I don't know
Yeah.
what the story is there. Yeah, as long as everyone involved knows they're getting paid and as the audience knows
Yeah.
that people are getting paid, then I don't care. Then obviously that's all fine.
I don't
So-
care either.
I don't know, like, I don't even know. Well, obviously, if it's Russia today, they don't want to hide it. But if it's like a American company, there's no real point in hiding it, in my opinion. So it's kind of just like you're opening yourself up for an attack further down the road than instead of just being honest in the beginning.
Yeah. We want to engage with people like Brianna Wu anyway. And I do think those conversations were kind of contentious. So,
I mean, I've been seeing her on Twitter recently. She seems pretty base on Twitter recently. So
yeah, she's definitely
give Brianna credit for that.
pro Israel and calling out the bullshit on the left with the Palestine
and
stuff
she's been
constantly. Yeah.
And she's been very vocal on the fact that she thinks that the medical industry has been way too cavalier, I should say, about getting kids into transitioning.
Yeah, I agree with that too. Her and Connor did a live stream that I didn't watch or listen to. I don't know
Mhm.
if you watched or listened to it, but I think it was after Connor came on our channel. So I don't know what they talked
I
about.
didn't listen to it. No,
yeah.
I don't know.
So
Audacity for $5 says it's a reputational hit if the person perceiving it negatively is an absolutely drooling moron. Well, it's not a question of that. It's a question of people that don't like Tim or people that don't like specific narratives are going to use it in a, like, they're either A, going to use it in a very dishonest fashion, or B, it's one of those, like, people always assume the most negative version of events for people they don't like. That's kind of
Mhm.
like the normal human reaction to most information. So you're going to see a lot of that. People on the left and right do it equally. It's not just a left wing thing. So
the left is going to
that's-
use it as a Russian interference narrative, similar to what they did before.
who's going to use it? Russian interference?
The left is going to say all these MAGA supporters
Oh,
are
you're right.
paid
You're
by
right.
Russians the same way they were in
Yes.
2016 to throw the election for Donald Trump. That's
Well,
what
and then
they're gonna
also,
say.
yeah, and because Tim's, suing. I don't know if that Kamala Twitter account I couldn't figure out if that was officially associated with the Kamala Harris campaign or not. But yeah, Tim is suing or threatening to sue them for their tweet, which I believe in their tweet they called them Russian operatives. So obviously, people are going to use that, say, aha, gotcha.
But this is why I think it may actually force Trump to respond, because that looks bad for Trump. Trump is going to say, look, I'm going to be tough on Putin. I'm not going to let Putin get away with shit. I'm not going to be Putin's, yes man. Like that's what that Trump has to respond, right?
I don't think no, I completely disagree with you. I think
Okay.
I think there's like a 20% chance Trump. Why would he respond to this? He doesn't,
But
he's
the left wing
barely been.
media blows it up and is
He
like, oh my
doesn't know
God.
any of these people. He did a 20-minute interview with Tim and no one else. Like he has no connection to these people.
Yeah, but this is like manna from heaven for the left wing media. They're like, oh my God, all of these Trump supporters are backed by Russian Kremlin money. That's like, oh my, that's like, they're going to be talking about it for days.
You're right. Trump might talk about it if he's asked about it, and he'll just say, "Oh, I don't know anything. I don't know any of these people. I don't know anything about this." Right?
I think this is going to be
fake
like
news.
I think this is going to be on local news eventually. Like it's going to be a widespread story. Reporters are going to ask Trump. They're going to be like, it turns out all of your supporters, every single MAGA person, is getting money from Moscow. What's going on with that, Trump?
Right.
Do you think Putin wants you to be president of the United States?
Messy Tenet for $2 says Sean to Sean Communications. There you go.
Yeah, that was great.
Sean on Sean, baby. Burger Dan for $2 says, don't mind me just padding the super chat numbers. Thank you. We appreciate it. We gotta stay number one, everybody. Come on, we gotta be number one.
J-Mac can't do it all on his own.
That's right.
He needs help.
He needs help. Audacity for $5 says it's a big deal if your own goddamn government is paying social media influencers to the fuck.
Yes, it is, obviously. Yeah, I don't want that.
Is there
a
story I missed about the U.S. government paying social media influencers?
The Progressive Victory PAC is something Brianna Wu and the Democratic Party put together, right? Like that's not the government.
No, yes, I'm saying, is there? I don't know what story you're referring to. Quez Graham for $10 says, I'm not surprised. I mean, China got actual spies working their government. As far as if they're that bad, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it shouldn't really be that surprising that they at least attempt to do stuff like this. I guess it's surprising the people they got. So Badu for $5 says, you aren't really grifting unless you're taking both the Wu and the Chen Cha-ching. Oh, I like that.
The Wu Bucks and the Chen Cha-chang.
See, okay. You know what? Fondue, you're so fucking right. Okay.
That's so true.
As the former enlightened centrist, me and Adam, we should have been on both the grifts. We should have been getting the Wu Bucks from the one side and the Chen Cha-ching from the other side. That's the real play right there.
I mean, we were calling everyone Putin simps from day one on the Ukraine stuff, so it'd be hard.
We could pivot. Listen,
that would be a hard pivot. Right? I mean,
we could do it.
You'd get whiplash from that pivot.
I believe we could do it for the right price. That is. Oh my God! For $2 says, will the real Russian asset please stand up? Please stand up. Thank you. Gene the Penguin for $5 says, honestly, if any country isn't sliding money into the maker infrastructure, it would surprise me. It'd be malpractice to not try to influence America. You're correct. I would love to see the DOJ come out with like the report of, all the people that China somehow influencing or paying. Both on YouTube and TikTok and all that stuff. Moondoggy for $10 says, we're officially number 1 and number 5, baby. Yes. Woot. Go, you guys. Go team. Oh my God, for another $2 says acts responsible for teacher student foolishness. That's true. Maybe that's why I never thought about that. Maybe that's why there's all these stories of teachers, female teachers getting involved with their students. Yeah.
The Axe body spray is irresistible. It's like the aphrodisiac.
It is. Yeah. Haywood Jablome for $5 says, similar to 2020 plus 2022, when we found out China and Russia were investing billions in the climate change activism in the U.S., China/Russia are not enemies.
Oh, of course not. They're allies at this point.
Right. The Dashing Rogue for $5 says Liam is Lauren's producer / husband and had an anchor kid to get a green card. No more international nationalist, stays in California. Interesting. Brian for $5 says Russia has funded left-wing activists and talking heads as well as right-wing. Their goals is sow discord within. They don't really care which side wins. I mean,
I
that is
completely
generally
agree.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was, because I remember, I don't know if it was 2016 or 2020. Wasn't there like they had found that Russia had set up like both left and right-wing protests like across the street from each other or something
Yeah.
in like
Yeah.
one place. So
There's a good book, Putin's Playbook, which is super interesting, by a Russian expat who worked in NSA intelligence in the U.S.
Dialogue always for $5 says Sean, quote, when I needed a rep, she recommended a rep and I doubled my income.
I know. Who's that rep?
There you go.
Do they have a Russian name?
It was I don't know. I was gonna think of a funny Russian name, but I don't
But
care
you
anymore.
couldn't.
M8566 for $2 says name change to Russian Justice Warrior win. There you go. Old School for $5 says charges against Tenet are legit. The grand announcement by the DOJ for the Russians paying a tiny sum to post on social media is BS election interference. Wait, I'm confused. Oh, I see. You're saying that you think the charge is legit, but the big announcement is not legit. Well, but here's the I don't know if that's true, because for all we know, well, first of all, I do think this is a big story. I completely disagree with you. You have some of, very large internet content creators in our space were unwittingly being paid by Russia is a big story. So I completely disagree with that. But I'm pretty sure the DOJ puts out these press statements all the time. The question is whether the media picks it up or not. So the media obviously is going to pick up this story. Social media is obviously going to pick up this story and ignore the 100 other times the DOJ announces, that they're bringing charges or indictments against someone that you don't care about.
Yeah, this story is salacious, obviously.
Sean in the chat says, or actually just one in the chat says, it was Republic Digital, not Russia. There you go.
Sure.
Sure. Russia Digital, you mean? Stug for $5 says, okay, so hear me out. What if their plan with Tenet was to use time inversion, sending the videos to 2021 and preemptively fomenting the anti-Ukraine sentiment? It all makes sense.
That was an excellent plan. Yeah, exactly.
That was a great plan. I believe it. That makes sense why it costs so much money.
That should have worked. Yeah.
Margin for $5 says, so Sitch, how much money do I have to funnel into your cash hole so you and Adam can be my hentai propaganda agents? It's not that lucrative, but I'll try. How much money, Adam?
I don't know. What is hentai?
It's like cartoon pornography.
I don't know.
Well, here's the thing, Majin. We're gonna have to create like a scale sheet for like what kind of hentai, right?
Yeah, it's got to be something obviously that's above board,
right? Because if it's like mommy milkers hentai, we're like, okay, maybe it's like 10 grand an episode. But then like if it gets more degenerate than that, like the price goes up higher and higher and higher.
Look, yeah.
So up to like 100 grand for like, we don't want any like Vosh. We don't want to get any Vosh trouble, okay?
Yeah, if any short stack goblins, and we're calling the feds. So just to let you know.
Short stack goblins interacting with horses. Yeah. That's where we draw the line. Lucy Lumbug, thanks so much for the 5 gifted memberships. M8566 for $5 says the best is still Sean Head's quote, buy my sounds for $50K a month. That is true. That is the best.
Look. Putin should have paid it. That's next to nothing.
There you go. Lou Silver for $10 says small contribution to the AC bill. Well, thank you so much. It does get hot here in both Florida and California.
Yeah, we're having a heat wave right now. It's supposed to be like 107 degrees today.
Oh, really? Oh my God. Terrible. It's weird because even though it's like generally pretty hot in Florida, I feel like it's like just consistently hot. We don't get these like weird fluctuations that you get in California.
The dry heat is so much better though. I lived in New Orleans in that swampy, humid heat.
That is so true.
Annoying. Yeah.
It was funny because when I went out to visit you in LA, like you're like, oh my God, it's so hot. And I'm like, this feels amazing. What are you talking about? It doesn't feel hot at all. So
Yeah, if you live in a humid area, you get out of the shower and you're like trying to dry off, and you're like, "Wow, I'm still wet. I'm
Exactly.
not really getting dry here."
Yeah, I feel like the humidity adds like 10 to 20 degrees extra like perception of the heat. So
Yeah.
P not P PA not for $20. Thank you so much. Says tell Sean, listening in the chat, Sean, tell Sean that he should bring back his old intro of the spinning rabbit heads with the creepy music.
No, that was the worst. What are you talking about? Oh, that
No,
stood
that
in
was the
Sean.
best. Bring it
No,
back. Bring it back.
that's what was standing in the way of Sean's success right there.
Okay, how about we
That
compromise?
silly music.
How about Sean gets rid of the skeleton and instead he's got like a video with the spinning rabbit heads playing
We
like the
might
whole time he's talking.
look. We might have to bring one of those videos up just to show how horrible it is. Like I would literally hate listening to Sean's videos because of that stupid intro.
Really? Wait,
Yeah,
okay,
it's
now
so
you gotta
bad.
bring it up and put the watch together.
It's
I wanna
so
see this.
bad.
I honestly don't even remember.
It's like this cartoony wah, 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 wah.
Bring it
It's
back.
like it's
Bring it up.
depressing music.
Go find it.
Okay, I'll look for it.
Malik for $10 says, so Brianna Wu comes out as trans on the same day Tim Pool comes out as a Russian asset. Coincidence? I think not. What do you mean
Brianna Wu
comes
is
out?
trans? What are you talking about?
What do you mean she's coming out as trans? I thought that was common. I thought everyone knew that.
She's not trans. What are you talking about?
Okay. Lou Silver for $5 says, poll, margaritas blended or on the rocks? Blended. 100%. Blended drinks are so fucking tasty. Oh my God. The Rooster for $5 says, the other reminder that good or bad, do not trust the polls. They are still used for nefarious means rather than the truth. Ooh, okay.
Don't
There you
trust
go.
the polls. I don't think you can 100% completely trust the polls just because so many different things are going to come up. So,
Right.
but I don't think they're intentionally trying to gaslight you.
Mm.
I think they're doing the best they can to give you the true information, but that is often hard to obtain. I'm assuming you agree, right?
I agree completely.
Yeah.
Mitch for 5 Aussie Bucks says Vinland Saga is the best. Also, thoughts on Goblin Slayer. Also, have you thought of covering anime on your media channel? Maybe an anime tier list. I have not seen Vinland Saga. I have not seen Goblin Slayer. I have 100% thought of covering anime at some point on the media channel.
Jeez.
I am curious. Maybe we could do with Adam an anime tier opening list. So Adam could just watch a bunch of anime openings and then he can rank them on a tier list for someone
that
who
would be
like
good.
hasn't seen a lot of anime. That'd be kind of funny.
I like stories that get down to brass tacks. I don't like stories that mill around and are like,
Right.
oh, this is going to get interesting on season 4. It's
Right.
like,
Unfortunately, that is unfortunately something that happens a lot of anime.
yeah, I've
Meanders.
heard the rumors. So
Right.
I'm just like, let's get in there. Let's get into the story. Jesus, Sean. Oh, look at this. He's got the rabbits in the 100 sub K special. Maybe it's got the intro.
Lethal Strand for $5 says just because this is a true story doesn't mean it's not going to be used politically and for more lawfare against the right. Well, I don't know how this would enter into like being used as lawfare, but I mean, I agree with you. Obviously, this story will be used for political purposes by people. Loose Over for $5 says, hey, who is this Dan guy that y'all know that now I think he's working with Destiny? He seems really reasonable and nice. What's his deal?
Dan guy? I don't know.
What are you talking about? I don't even know who you're referring to. Spencer Harmon for $20. Thanks so much. Says money is an amplifier, nothing more. Give more. Give more to a decent person. They'll do decent things with that money. Give a terrible person money. They'll do terrible things with that money. Disclosure is a problem here. I don't actually agree with that at all, Spencer. I have both. I've noticed
So as many of you
both in seeing in real life and then also seeing play out in other stories. Money can have a very weird effect on people. People that you think are like pretty normal or legit. Like maybe you don't think of them as like this is a super moral person, but you just think of them as like, oh yeah, they're like a cool guy. And if like suddenly like a bunch of money starts to enter in the equation, it can drive people crazy. Like entire families can get torn apart by like, during will disputes and things like that. So I don't agree. Money can definitely make people like the claws come out. It affects people.
Yeah, we talked about Lauren Chen was totally reasonable, and then she started coming out with this, like women shouldn't be able to vote, like all kinds of really insane shit.
Well, I don't know if that was because she was getting paid. I mean, she could just have like shit takes, but
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Her takes have like fallen off a cliff.
That is
it's
true.
the takes are like more and more insane.
That is true.
And I'm just
I wouldn't be
like,
surprised either way. That's fair.
what is going on here? I think I messaged you. I was like, when did Lauren Chen lose her mind? Or something to that effect.
You did.
So, I mean, come on. Where is it the outro that he's got here? Where's
I
the
don't know. You
stupid
tell me.
rabbits at?
Where are the rabbits at? They're not in the intro?
I don't know.
Of the situation
you find a
of
video
the
with the
situation
intro?
by saying the word nuance, or am I right
like
like
it shouldn't be
always
that
because I'm
difficult.
always right? Let me know in the comments of this video. If you like the video, then show me by leaving a like. You can subscribe for more content. Follow me on all my
God.
social medias. They are linked in the
How far
description.
do I have to go
This
back?
has been me talking about Hunter Avalon, justifying the banning of President Trump with terrible logic. Till next time.
No, so okay. I gotta go further back. Continue.
I like Sean has 100 subscriber. Look at this. Sean's 100 subscriber.
100
Video
subscriber
celebration.
video?
Yeah, 100 subscriber celebration.
100,000.
No, this is 100.
No way.
It was 100. I hit oldest. So
Oh,
it's
you
kinda
did
going
the
backwards.
oldest. Well, bring one up then. I should have done that. I was hoping that I didn't know if the intro was kind of in the middle.
Okay, I found it. See, Jesus, you've been searching this whole time, and I find it in like 2 seconds.
You're just a great searcher.
What's up,
Lord.
guys? Sean here, and today I'm going to answer
And today I'm going to answer why I'm retarded.
I put in the watch together. I don't know why it's like crashing the watch together.
It is.
The
Here,
music's too creepy.
let me refresh. Wants me to rejoin
And today-
the room here. Okay.
teach you our
This video
gather.
is too old.
There it is. Wait, here it is. Here's the creepy intro. I don't remember this at all.
Statistics are gathered. Last month I uploaded
What
a
the
That is
fuck
literally-
was that?
That is literally the worst branding on the fucking internet.
Sean, what are you retarded? Why would you ever? Jesus. That's the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. Why would you ever think that was a good idea? Oh my god. What the fuck was that?
Like, what is your emotional response to that music?
Holy I want to find
I know. It's like
I wanna
it
find those
immediately
rabbits and kill them. What the hell is terrifying?
it makes you immediately suicidal. It's just it's
Jesus
like you want to
Christ.
end your own life. It's so
What
bad.
was that? Now I think Sean is part of a psyop to like demotivate, demoralize anyone.
You're like instantly depressed. It's like the kind of music that you listen to. Like some crazy clown plays that music before he kills you. Why?
whoever-
Sean?
Whoever asked, there's Sean in the chat. Whoever asked Sean to bring that intro back was wrong. Okay,
They were definitely wrong.
Yes, it was a good
I
move to
believe.
get rid of that shit.
Look, I think I commented a few times in the comments saying, "Get rid of that music. It's killing your channel."
Jesus Christ. Okay. Anyways,
you.
that was terrible.
Thank you.
Yes. Cameraman 502 for $5 says, I wonder if this is the start of a bunch of these foreign influence cases getting unsealed, given the back-to-back announcement for Russia and China. Ooh, maybe. That'd be fun. M8566 for $5 says, Sitch and Adam hentai win while Blunty Fly watches. Hopefully never. Hopefully
Yes.
never.
Hopefully,
Yeah.
we're never that desperate, but we'll see.
Right. Mr. Ubercross for $10, thank you. Says I'm willing to set up a grifting channel to promote any shills who want to pay me $400,000 per month. I'm very comfortable representing people's interests that I disagree with. Well, there you go. Listen, Russia, China, Israel, America, anyone, any
Wow.
foreign government or our own government that's willing to pay $400,000 a month, Mr. Ubercross is your guy. All right.
Mr. Ubercross, you're not doing great for the lawyer reputation here. So just,
What do you mean? Lawyers are all hired guns. It makes perfect sense.
I know that's a bad reputation though, right?
Right. Thorgrim Hammerheart, thanks so much for the 19 months. Says, as always, keep up the killer work, guys. Thank you. And keep on crushing it. Will you guys have Hutch on anytime? Not pondering, though. That guy just irks me. Sure, we'll talk to Hutch whenever.
Sure.
Did we talk to
yeah.
him not that long ago?
I blocked Hutch on Twitter, but obviously he can come on the show.
Okay.
So yeah, he's like a nuisance on Twitter. So
Right. Mr. Ubercross, thank you so much for the 20 get the memberships. Thank you so much.
yes, that's awesome.
Lethal Strain for $5 says, if you wanted a real conspiracy theory, the DOJ released this to outshine the Hunter Biden pleading guilty for tax evasion. I don't think so, but that is a good conspiracy. So I did see that. Yeah, Hunter Biden is pleading guilty for tax evasion. So
Good for
that's
him.
fun.
He's got to turn his life around before he gets that pardon from his dad.
Yeah. We're gonna have a January 5th pardon from Biden.
Yeah.
Dr. Diller for $2 says, I have no problem believing Tenet Media is a Russian front because it was unsuccessful, poorly planned, widely mocked. What's more Russian than that? Boom.
Oh yeah.
Sella for $2 says, did you also see Trump said on Lex Friedman that he lost by a whisker? I've always been told his lawyers filed an affidavit in the Georgia case saying he knows he lost, but he has the right to claim otherwise, but I can't find it. You know, it's funny because I watched the Lex interview. I didn't catch that line when I watched it until people started talking about it. I think it was hilariously, it was Nick Fuentes who kind of clipped that and kind of drew attention to it. And I went back and I watched the clip. It's unclear to me in the context whether what Trump means by lost by a whisker, right? Because he could spin that into, well, I know I won, but I lost by a whisker because Mike Pence wouldn't throw out the votes or something. So,
ooh, ouch.
If because it's true, if Trump does acknowledge that he lost the election, that is interesting. I don't know what kind of repercussions that would have legally for some of the cases, but it is kind of interesting. So,
yeah, maybe he's setting himself up for the turn.
Doubtful. Dr. Dealer for $2 says, regarding anime, I've noticed a problem I have with saying X anime is good is that people compare it to other anime rather than as a standalone story comparable to Western TV shows. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is a rare exception. That is true. That does happen. Yeah, it's funny because the other day I was promoting Undead Unluck, which is good, but I got to like the second season or the second arc or something.
Oh no, it fell apart.
Well, no, it didn't fall apart, but it was really obvious that they had because usually like the way it's structured with anime is that there's like, they're trying to have like one arc or two arcs a season. Like they're trying to like frame it time wise. And it was very clear that didn't have enough, even though the anime or the manga is very long, they wanted to like structure it in a specific way and they didn't have the material length. So in the second season, they like have an insane amount of like flashback and recaps that are like, it just really hurts the pacing, unfortunately, of the show.
They're flashing back to stuff that actually took place or stuff that should have took place in season 1 and didn't.
No, like something will happen and then someone references it. Like something will happen in an episode and then like later in the episode or the next episode, they reference it and they go back and flash back the entire segment. And you're like, I just saw this. Like, what are you doing?
That's horrible. That's
like,
horrible. Acolyte shit.
They're really trying to like pad the time, which is unfortunate because it's actually like, if you ignore all that stuff, it's still really good and really interesting. And I really like it. I got to the end of the anime. I'm going to read the comic to see what goes on afterwards.
Cool.
Jay for $2 says Putin is on the record saying he prefers Biden. Well, that's always the problem is that would you trust Putin's assessment of things? Like, why would he say what he actually prefers?
Yeah, I don't think he prefers Biden at all. Biden was the one that told Ukraine that Russia was going to invade and kind of gave up all of their intelligence to Ukraine. They also protected Zelensky, encouraged Zelensky to stay. I mean, America kind of fucked everything up for Russia. And I think a lot of that goes to the Biden administration. So,
yep.
Yeah, it's one of the few things the Biden administration did that I actually like. So
true. And also, Trump was very hard on the NATO people, so it doesn't really make that doesn't make any sense that he'd actually prefer that. Anyways.
All right. This was a great show. And I guess we'll see you Sunday.
We'll see you all guys Sunday. Thank you so much for the incredibly generous super chats, keeping us #1. And thank you both, Sean. Think before you sleep. And Sean Uxel for coming on. Subscribe to both the channels. They're both great content creators.
Yep. Take care. Later.
Nice.